This is Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily with Andrew Hustler Paterson and Michael Remis.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to another edition of Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily, our final preseason game day edition before things get real next week and we drop the puck on the National Hockey League season. Jets in Calgary tonight. Looks like we're going to be seeing what will be the opening night lineup minus Jonathan Toews. Fingers still crossed throughout the province that Toews will be good to go for next week. He's out day-to-day right now with the lower body injury and will not be participating in the final preseason game. But other than that, as we'll hear from Scott Arneal coming up, this is somewhat of a dress rehearsal for the big show, which will be one of 82 Thursday night at Canada Life Center against the Dallas Stars. I should mention right off the bat that if you are thinking about going to the home opener or joining us, that we've only got a few tickets remaining in the WST section, and I imagine those will be going very quickly. Got an awesome deal with seats in section 316. Your ticket includes a beverage as well. We'll all get together and kick off the season together. So if you haven't already, don't wait. Go to winnipegjets.com/WST and grab those final few tickets for the WST section for game one of the year. And we hope to kick it off the way we ran the table last year, going 6-0 with the crew. Again, winnipegjets.com/WST. We got a big show today. We will hear from Coach Scott Arneal. Connor Rabchak was down at the rink today. He'll come with a bit of a rinkside report. We'll hook up with Brandon Rewucki. Jeff Hamilton is going to jump on. We've got a big week in the Canadian Football League despite the Bombers being on the bye. Then a little later on, check in with Dober Hockey and Lee Hacksaw Hamilton. And before Hacksaw comes on, I will have our first Chud's Power Sports Power Poll. Today's Power Poll is going to be the NFL. We'll do a preseason NHL Power Poll before the drop of the puck next week for Chud's Power Sports. And I can't wait to see Connor and Liz do their thing with their own Power Poll. Of course, WST Sunday Live is coming up at 9 a.m. on Sunday. Actually, a little programming note. We'll also have some content for you tomorrow. NHL preview and future show for WST winners, myself, Pat, and Jake, who, of course, did our football picks this morning. Check that out on the YouTube channel, 10 a.m. every Friday. We're live with the picks against the spread, props, touchdown scorers, and more. That's waiting for you if you want to jump on that before NFL kickoff this weekend. But tomorrow, of course, the IC boys will be doing their thing up until 11 a.m. At 11 o'clock, we will drop the NHL Futures preview. So if you want more hockey talk tomorrow after IC, pop on over to Winnipeg Sports Talk. That will drop at 11. And before the puck drops on the season on Tuesday, Michael, Connor, and myself will have a Jets-focused Futures edition as well right here on Winnipeg Sports Talk. Listen, just before we bring in Remo, welcome to everybody in chat. Good to see you. Marble race later on. Make sure to stick around for that. And shout out to all the podcast listeners making us a part of their day. Also want to thank our great partners, including Coolbet Canada, Princess Auto, the Winnipeg Jets, HSC Millionaire Lottery, Rollies Transfer, St. Vital Dental Center, Canadian Club, Chud's Power Sports and Manitoba Battery, Boston Pizza, Royal Sports, Little Brown Jug. We will get to a Why Not question of the day. And, of course, fan feedback from all of you at forfansfirst.ca. Let's get her going. Remo, what's up?
Hey, feeling good on a Friday. Had a great Thursday night game last night. CFL kicking off. NHL season just around the corner. And yeah, Jets preseason night on TV, the final one. This lineup could be exactly what we see on Night one, next
Hopefully
Thursday.
not.
Well, you'd like to see Jonathan Toews in the lineup, of course. But we'll see how it looks tonight against Calgary. And fingers crossed, right here, you see, I'm crossing him. They come out healthy, no injuries in this one. I don't want to see Pospisil hit Perfetti from behind or any garbage like that. Because that's never happened before, right? With is he in the lineup, Pospisil? I should look.
He is a top 5 rat in the league. There's a few like long-term lifetime achievement award rat winners like Brad Marchand. Pospisil, absolutely. He took a shot at Ehlers too early on in his career.
Like that.
Don't have a lot of time for that guy. But yes, let's get through this. You're already without Toews. You're already without Dylan Samberg. No more injuries. And I, for one, will be very happy at the final buzzer to put the preseason behind us and get ready to drop the puck on an 82-game regular season beginning next week right here in Winnipeg. We will touch on that in just a minute and hear from Scott Arneal, as well as Luke Schenn and Parker Ford. But Remo, just quickly back to last night. Absolutely crazy NFL game last night. I mean, everyone had left the Niners for dead. I'm sure Connor will have something to say for this. And by the way, he was one of the people that had the Niners left for dead, despite being a hardcore Niner fan. And yet Mac Jones comes out, slings it. They get up 14-0. The Rams get back in the game. And now, for the second time this season, the Rams lose a game because of their kicking game. It was 2 blocked field goals at the hands of the Eagles a couple weeks ago, and then this week they couldn't convert a touchdown, which would have put them up 21-20. The game goes to overtime, and they end up losing, not to mention a fumble on the 1-yard line. I mean, I don't know how the Rams aren't 5-0, but they're 3-2, and San Francisco gets a massive win in the division on the road with like half of their top players not even dressed for the game.
Yeah, solid night of sports watching last night with the Thursday nighter. MLB playoffs all day. The Yankees advancing to play the Blue Jays. But I thought it was a puzzling, fourth down call in overtime by the Rams. You have Matt Stafford, who's been cooking all night, throwing to Devontae Adams, throwing to Puka Nacua, and you give it to Kyron Williams, who fumbled at the 1 already, and he just runs into the ass of his O-lineman, and they blow it up, and he gets tackled. I was very surprised after all the timeouts, trying to draw him offside. I don't mind going for it there, but you have Matt Stafford and all these great receivers, and I don't think that, Sean McVay said as much that it was a bad play call, but it doesn't put the win back. So, it was an entertaining game. Thursday nights usually suck. We picked the under, and the second half, very exciting. So, no more, no football tonight, no baseball tonight. We got preseason, Jets, CFL. 2, I got a double. Only one game. We've had the double headers. Only 3 games this week. Saskatchewan in Ottawa. They've already clinched Saskatchewan. So, but yeah, I'm all over the place. Entertaining NFL game. Tough for the Rams.
Yeah, listen. Just back to last night. Obviously, we'll talk a little NFL with Saw later on, and we will drop the Chud's Power Sports Power Poll. But the baseball was awesome last night. You had the Tigers survive the Guardians. They move on. They will take on your Mariners in the next round. The San Diego Padres, I thought, got absolutely hosed in the 9th inning. And I don't know if everybody saw the scene of the umpires leaving the field. I have never seen, in a long, long time, a coaching staff, a team so irate, literally trying to get at the umpires the way that it looked yesterday at Wrigley as the umpires left the building last night. It got hairy for the Cubs in the 9th inning. A very controversial strikeout call that was clearly a ball, and that's part of the reason why they're bringing in the challenge and the robot umps next year in the majors. But the Padres are done, which sets up the revenge series. The Brewers going up against their former player and manager, Craig Counsell, with the Cubs in one of the NL series. And then, of course, it's Phillies-Dodgers. But the main event is Blue Jays, Yankees for all of us north of the border. And Ring, I was just saying the way that if there was going to be a weekend that the Bombers were off and the last weekend for 6 months that the Jets aren't playing, I think this is an absolutely perfect one for it because we've got a ton of football And, of course, the Blue Jays Game 1 and Game 2 tomorrow from the Rogers Center and Sunday from the Rogers Center. So it'll be sort of nice to focus on those things. And then we get back to following the Bombers' push to the playoffs and the start of the road for Winnipeg next week in the National Hockey League.
Yeah, Blue Jays playing at 3:08 Central Time. And nice that Sportsnet is going to have their regular crew for this one. You're going to get, Buck and Dan. You're not going to get the U.S. call, the Fox call. So they're putting that in. I think that's the prime time. Those are on Fox. So excited for the baseball playoffs. Last weekend of, no hockey, and I'll be watching, every second night glued to my TV for Dan and Kevin on TSN. So, hey, it's an exciting time of year. As you said, baseball playoffs, NFL, Sunday. You need a lot of TVs and, for tablets or computers, all around.
If you want, go to the Bills Twitter feed. I'm not sure if you've seen this, folks, but Remo, there's a tweet from 5 hours ago that the Buffalo Bills tweeted out. And it's got a picture of Josh Allen. It's got a picture of Vladdy Guerrero. And it says, "Good luck in the playoffs, Blue Jays," with the quote, "Good luck to our friends up north," and "Go Bills, X Blue Jays." The comments on this, I don't know how they were able to trigger the fans so much. They claiming to be the only New York team, and I would say 99.9% of the comments are outraged that the Buffalo Bills would publicly support the Canadian Toronto Blue Jays as opposed to the New York Yankees. But the triggering is real. People are ready to go. I just got a text from Ken. I knew that he would find a way to get to Game 1 as well. So make sure to be following at Weeb's World for the latest from the ballpark this week. But, listen, football is usually the big deal right now, right before hockey season. I don't think there's any question what's going to be the number one story in Canadian sports this weekend. It's going to be two games against the Yankees in the Dome. And, of course, the first ever playoff series between the two AL East rivals.
Yeah, surprised to see that they never played in the playoffs, especially during the Blue Jays heyday, in the late 80s, early 90s. They did have that one series, 10 years ago and again in 2022. So, the Blue Jays hadn't been in the playoffs a lot when the Yankees were ruling the division, and not a lot of teams made the playoffs then as well. They have had the expanded teams, so now you get matchups you've never seen before and new teams coming in. So should be pretty awesome. Everyone's getting Blue Jays fever. I remember 2015, people were hopping on. We were going to parties. People are talking about it. I think you're talking to people now, and I think people are certainly getting excited.
Connor and Liz were down having some fun with the Moose today for Moose Media Day. We'll have plenty of content on Sunday Live and on the channels and our socials as we've moved forward. I was going to get to Scott Arneal first, but I think Connor's ready to go, so we're going to bring him in a little early, and then we'll hear from the coach before Brandon Rewucki jumps on with us a little bit later on today. You know what? Before we bring in Connor, let me remind you folks that next Thursday is not only the Jets home opener, but it is also the next deadline for early bird and super bonus prizes for the HSC Millionaire Lottery. The super bonus worth over $73,000. Deadline for that one is Thursday, October 9th. The next early bird prizes will include your choice of a Toyota 4Runner SR5 valued at over $57,000, or an amazing package of a Jets game suite for 12 with food and beverage credit, $1,000 Jets gear gift card, $25,000 in Indigno travel vouchers, and $20,000 cash, or $55,000 cash. And there'll be 4 more winners of gas and groceries from Red River Co-op as well for $1,000 prizes. The deadline for that one again is Thursday, October 9th at midnight. You'll be in for that, the Grey Cup bonus, the other early bird prizes, and of course the grand prize to become Manitoba's newest millionaire. your choice of one of 5 dream home packages of $1.5 million value, 4 in the greater Winnipeg area, 1 on Vancouver Island, or $1.25 million cash. So get your tickets now before Thursday, hscmillionaire.com, or pop by London Drugs or Red River Co-op to get those in person. hscmillionaire.com, supporting Manitoba's hospital, the Health Sciences Center. Of course, the Jets are moving out to Calgary and then back home to get ready for the season. If you've got a move for you and your family, holler at our friends at Rolly's Transfer, the most trusted name in moving in Manitoba for over 60 years, family owned and operated. Rolly's has been doing it, and maybe, just maybe, you'll get moved in the Winnipeg Sports Talk truck that's been on the streets. Hit up request an estimate at Rollies.com. Put in the promo code WST for a special discount for our listeners for moving services and moving supplies, and then let them know when and where you're moving and what needs to go. And the friendly staff at Rollies will turn it around quick with a great quote and get you the white glove treatment that Rollies customers have been enjoying now into their 7th decade. For all your moving needs, make it Rollies. Find out more, request an estimate today over at Rollies.com. And hey, a big shout out to Terry, Dr. Terry and the gang at St. Vital Dental Center. I always love it when WSTers book appointments around 3 p.m. on Friday afternoon. So while Dr. Terry can work on their grill, they can watch the marble race, of which there is great support at St. Vital Dental Center. Listen, St. Vital Dental Center has been serving generations of Manitobans. And if you're looking for a great long-term dental practice to take care of you and your family, you couldn't find a better one. With their brand new location at 167 St. Anne's Road, with state-of-the-art equipment and convenient free parking right behind the building. Got you covered for patients from 6 months to 99 plus, with everything from cleanings and checkups to things like dental implants. For all your dental needs, give our pals at St. Vital Dental Center a call, or book an appointment online and find out more online at stviteldental.ca. All right, let's head out to the Hockey for All Center right now and welcome in Connor Rabchak. And I do want to get to the latest on the Jets and how Media Day went this morning. But, Connor, I'm sure you'll admit that you had completely written off your football team last night, and then that happened. What an insane victory.
Absolutely insane, Huss. I still can't believe that they actually won it. I even told you to take the Rams in your survivor pool. I'm glad that
Luckily I didn't.
You were locked out. Yeah, I remember you saying that earlier. Yeah, I mean, I fresh off of playing wide receiver last night for the 49ers, basically. Like, they were picking up guys off the street, putting up 100-plus yard games. Kendrick Bourne wasn't on a team a few weeks ago, and he had 142 yards. Like, I still can't believe that they won that game. Mac Jones was, like, hurt. Like he was hobbling. We all saw it. He was grabbing at his knee the whole game. Went into overtime? I don't know, man. I'm still at a loss for words, and it's been a whirlwind day here. I haven't even had time to think about the 49ers, but I'm just so glad they won.
Yeah, well, I figured I would not just overlook that. I would expect that if that was a Chiefs team that did that and I was jumping on, you would say, quickly, how about that game last night?
Yeah.
Wild win, big feather in the cap for Kyle Shanahan. And the Rams, the fact that that team isn't 5-0 right now, the way that they found ways to lose is pretty incredible. And those 2 losses could be massive down the stretch, depending on who's going to win the division, home field in the playoffs, and more. We'll get to the NFL with Hacksaw and some baseball later on today. But how was mixing it up with the Moose today? Remis and I had a lot of fun at Media Day last year, and I know you and Liz were fun to connect with many of the young men that'll be wearing the antlers to start the season.
Yeah, it was an absolute blast, Huss. I'm not going to lie. And I know you guys were here last year, and I unfortunately wasn't there last year. So for me to have this experience has been so much fun. There's the photo there. I caught up with Jared Anderson-Dolan and Thomas Milich. Liz caught up with Isaac Phillips, Colby Barlow, Isaac Poulter. It was a super fun day, and we have tons of content coming out on WSC Sunday Live. I'm sure we'll upload these as regular videos as well on the channel. And I'm super excited for people to see them. Obviously, a down year for the Moose last year. This group sounds motivated. They sound ready to avenge what happened last season. They're ready for a bounce back. And a guy like Jared Anderson-Dolan, I asked him about the playoffs last year and scoring a goal in the whiteout and what it's like playing in front of that crowd and coming back. Jared Anderson-Dolan, also a player that was claimed off of waivers one time in his career. I asked him what that experience is like as an NHL player. It's largely a unique one. Thomas Milich, I asked him about his World Junior Championship run with Canada, with the Connor Bedard year in Halifax. Got some great stuff there. And Jared Anderson-Dolan, on on getting claimed on waivers had a really funny story. So you'll have to check it out. This Sunday, I think we're going to premiere the Thomas Milic and Colby Barlow interviews live on WST Sunday Live. You won't want to miss it. So tune in then. Absolute blast here today, picking up with the Manitoba Moose players.
Yeah, as I mentioned, a very busy weekend as we expand more programming on Winnipeg Sports Talk. Tomorrow, 11 a.m., our NHL Futures preview with Pat, Jake, and myself. That's going to drop right after Illegal Curve. So if you want to mix it up in the chat with the gang, 11 a.m., you'll be able to do that tomorrow. And then, of course, Sunday a.m., set your alarms, 9 a.m., Connor and Liz with another edition of WST Sunday Live. One more kick at the cat for the Jets in the preseason. As Remis said earlier, I don't even care what happens in this game tonight. Just let this team get through it unscathed, get to that third period buzzer, and then move on. But from the sounds of it, and we'll hear from Scott Arneal in a minute, this basically seems like this is going to be the planned look, barring any sort of injuries for opening night.
Yeah, and he didn't, confirm that these are the lines, but it does look that way. And he did say that this is, mostly a dress rehearsal tonight. As for the decor specifically, he was asked if this is the plan for opening night or at least to start the season. And he kind of just gave an answer like, we'll let these guys battle it out and see what happens. I'm sure Scott Arneal shares the same thought as you and all of us that what you just got to get through tonight's game healthy. I mean, the best part of preseason is going to be tonight at 11 o'clock when it finally ends. That's the highlight of everyone's preseason and when it's over. And I'm just excited to get on to the regular season. And yeah, this is the lineup I think you can expect to see opening night. And then if Jonathan Toews returns from his injury, he's day-to-day with a lower body injury, did not skate today, Scott Arneal said. If he's playing, obviously the plan there is for him to be on that second line between Perfetti and Nyquist and kind of push everyone down the lineup. Nemesnikov down to the third line, Barron down to the fourth line. And I'm really interested in Parker Ford, Huss. Parker Ford is going to be skating as the fourth line center tonight over a guy like David Gustafsson. And on WST Sunday Live, on the WST Daily Show, we've talked about how you can mostly just look at who's waiver exempt and who's not and pick out the roster. Well, Parker Ford doesn't need waivers, and a guy like David Gustafsson would. So if he were to win a job, that would be a big deal. And Parker Ford has a big chance tonight in Calgary on that fourth line. We'll see how much they play. I'm sure the Jets are going to manage the minutes well. They don't want any of their star players getting hurt either. I'm going to be watching Parker Ford, fourth line center, who's vying for a job and might, with a strong performance tonight, might win one.
As Mike McIntyre pointed out earlier, I think obviously the top 9 for this game pretty much set. I think Cole Koepke's looked really good. You can pretty much put him in ink. I was still, interested to see. I think Tanner Pearson is going to get the opportunity at the start. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, the fact that Gus isn't in this game and Parker Ford shows that he has done a lot to help his cause in the eyes of the coaching staff. And, I'm not sure. I haven't really asked around what we think of, certain players passing through waivers. I mean, the big question was, would Ville get through waivers? I mean, assuming that somebody from the blue line is going to get sent down, if Parker Ford's going to be in that opening night lineup, that will make for some tough decisions, albeit I guess if Toews is not able to go, they can retroactively put him on IR to last week and sort of kick the can down the road to protect their assets. But for me, Connor, a real huge opportunity for that fourth line. I mean, Ford and Pearson, because, Lambert, Chibrikov, Walker Dewar, and David Gustafsson, all still with the club right now, would love more opportunities to show what they can do. But I think this is a little bit of a tip of the hand from the coaching staff that up until this point, with this essentially being the final act of training camp in the preseason, this is the lineup that, considering with the injuries they've had, that's going to be thrown out on the ice today against Calgary.
Yeah, and obviously with the Dylan Samberg injury and the unknown of tonight's game, they're never really going to say that this is the lineup because anything can happen tonight, right? Parker Ford can go out and score a hat trick, and obviously that would go a long way to earning him a role. A guy like Cole Koepke, though, has really impressed me throughout camp, going all the way back to the opening Thursday of camp. He's shown poise with the puck. He hustles very, very well for a fourth liner. That's exactly what you want from those energy guys at the bottom of your lineup. And his most recent games, he's really impressed me. So I'm excited to see if he can carry that through tonight. And then a guy like Parker Ford, like what if there's chemistry there? What if Jonathan Toews isn't ready for the start of the regular season? This might be something that the Winnipeg Jets have to explore to start the season here. So Jonathan Toews still day-to-day, not skating, as Scott Arneal told us earlier today, not yet. again, reading off of tone, body language, all those things, doesn't seem like he's overly concerned about this, leaking over into the regular season. We still are, 6 days away from opening night. So that gives Toews plenty of time to recover in time for that first game. But if he's unable to, and they retroactively put him on IR, like you said, Huss, look for Parker Ford or David Gustafson or any of those guys to battle for a job and potentially win it. And that battle has been going on throughout camp. And clearly with Parker Ford getting the nod tonight, the Jets think he's a step ahead of Gus.
Just speaking about the center position for a minute, we've got Vlad in between Perfetti and Nyquist. That was the place where Toews has been skating and presumably slides in to begin. We've also got Morgan Barron between Iafallo and Niederreiter, and then Ford in that 4-hole. I mean, is this as simple as if Toews comes back in, he's in between Perfetti and Nyquist, and we just slide Vlad and Barron down a line?
I do think so, Huss. I do think it's that simple. I think the Toews line has been together throughout camp. Nyquist and Perfetti with Toews, they've played together many games, and the same can be said for those other two lines. The Barron, Kepke, Pearson lines played a game together. The Nino, Vlad, Iafallo line played in Edmonton in the road game. So I do think that that's the Winnipeg Jets plan A when it comes to their forward core, and I would not be shocked if Jonathan Toews is there on opening night if that's how the lineup shakes out, and I think that's what Scott Arneal would prefer. But again, there's been battles throughout camp, and Parker Ford clearly a guy that if Toews isn't ready to go, they think he can be ready for that fourth line role.
Hellebuyck's ribs all in place, and he'll be the guy tonight.
That was ridiculous. Like I was standing there in the scrum, and he's like, "Yeah, I just had a rib out of place and went to the chiropractor, snapped it back crack 5 minutes, and was back before practice ended." I was like, "What? Like that sounds so painful." I don't know if anyone has ever experienced that.
On that, I tweeted out because that shocked me. I'm like, "What? A rib out of place? That sounds a little really concerning." But I did just sort of quote tweet Mitch's tweet and said, "Excuse me?" And it blew me away. Now, Liz said, "Yeah, that happens to me all the time." I assumed that was a joke, but then I saw some of these other people, "Oh, it's a chiropractic term. I've had it before. An adjustment just puts it back into alignment." Jamie Sigmars, when I used to play, that was a common occurrence. Quick chiro adjustment and all is well. And then there was people saying a baby back rib and some other things. But
and Huss, you go back to Scott Arneal saying, "Well, he didn't quite feel right." Like, yeah, no duh. A rib out of place. Like this makes a lot more sense. Like it's crazy.
But anyways, bottom line, there's a couple big time players, Dylan Samberg and Adam Lowry, out for the team for this foreseeable future. Fingers crossed that Jonathan Toews will be good to go. But death, taxes, and 37 in the Winnipeg Jet net. And one final primer for him. He's only played the one game. That was the one we were wondering whether he would actually play in earlier this week. He's still the Hart Trophy winner, and he's still the MVP of this Winnipeg Jet team. And for all the consternation about some of the other spots in the lineup and how things are going to look with Dylan Samberg out, it's always when Connor Hellebuyck's in there, he's always giving you a chance to win. And they'll look to try to, have that sort of performance tonight in what will be as close to a simulation of a regular season game as we'll get during the preseason.
Yeah, and when we spoke to Connor Hellebuyck the other day during that scrum where he said he had a rib out of place and then ended up being fine, one thing that he was asked about by Jamie Thomas from the Winnipeg Jets is, there's this break between this game, the final preseason game, and the first regular season game for the Winnipeg Jets, which is next Thursday. And Connor Hellebuyck, we know, is a rhythm goaltender. He likes to play every other night. He likes to play 3-4 games a week. We've seen this in his games played total that has become a massive discussion on this program for years and years. Is Connor Hellebuyck playing too much? Well, he likes playing that much. He likes being in rhythm. And this is a scenario where he's going to play these two preseason games, but then he's going to get a full week off almost before the first regular season game. So it's key for him to make it through the game, get in rhythm, get as game acclimated as he can get in the preseason here, despite the long break. And just last thing on Connor Hellebuyck, I spoke with Thomas Milic here, another goaltender in the organization. Was great asking him about, sharing the crease with Connor Hellebuyck, training camp, how he, bounces ideas off of an MVP. Like if you're a goaltender in this organization and you have the MVP at the same position as you, that's got to be a massive advantage. And Thomas Milic just raved about how nice Connor Hellebuyck is and the advice that he gives him and all of those things. So it'll be a great conversation. And look for 37 to start tonight's game, the home opener, and a lot more after that for sure.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, for a guy in Milic's situation, There's good and bad. The great is that you can learn from the best goalie in the world. The bad is that starting job ain't opening up anytime soon right now. But hey, listen, he's got some work to do, as so many players with the Moose do, trying to get to the National Hockey League first and foremost. And that journey will be beginning next week for Manitoba as well, on a big opening weekend with both the Jets and the Moose kicking off their seasons at Canada Life Center. Let you get back to business there at the Hockey for All Center. Say what's up to Liz. Looking forward to WST Sunday Live, 9 a.m. on Sunday. Don't have too much fun on Saturday night.
Sounds good. And we've got a nice Chud's Power Sports poll cooked up for Sunday, along with these interviews that she's going to come here. Hold on. Liz and I did the interviews today. She's here.
Liz, let's get a quick update. Oh, okay, she's gone. She can't hear me. Yeah, just how did it go today?
Oh, it was wonderful. Shout out to the Moose crew. We had a blast this morning here.
That's good. I know you guys have been cooking up the power poll and everything else for Sunday Live. So awesome. We'll look forward to joining you guys for a cup of coffee on Sunday morning and getting ready for the upcoming season. Connor, have a good one.
Thanks, guys. Talk to you later.
All right, there's Connor Rabchak down at the Hockey for All Center. And, while we stay on topic of tonight's game and the Jets finishing up their training camp, let's hear from Scott Arneal, who, of course, spoke before heading out to Calgary. And, here's what Arnie was asked, if this is basically the lineup that looks to take the ice on opening night, barring Jonathan Toews' return.
Yeah, pretty much. They'd obviously, when you get later in camp, we had talked to the veterans about how many games. Some were playing 2, some were playing 3. So it really kind of falls into a lot of those guys need this second game to kind of get themselves ready for next week. It's kind of what we've done in the past, try to put as close to our lineup as possible.
So again, not reading too much into it, the fact Parker Ford's in the lineup and on your fourth line tonight as a centerman, is that a testament to the camp that he's had?
Yeah, it's been part of it. Obviously, we've been throwing him in the center ice position, something he has played before, and wanted to see that. Was hoping that Jonathan was going to be available, but just another opportunity for a young guy to go out and show what he can do. And I think he's had a good camp, and we'll just kind of play it through each day.
Plan for Hellebuyck to probably play the whole game tonight? Okay. And would Jonathan have skated on his own today or no?
Yeah.
There is Scott Arneal, just some rest for Jonathan Toews. And as I said, fingers crossed, we'll get back to work next week and the team will be on the ice skating, getting ready for the Dallas Stars. And number 19 will be back out there, but that's something we'll be monitoring all week here on Winnipeg Sports Talk. Dylan Samberg's not going to be back for 6 to 8 weeks, which leaves a gaping hole beside Neil Pionk on that second pairing. Tonight, it's Logan Stanley, and by what we've heard, that could very well be the way things start. Arnie was asked about Stan getting the opportunity to play with Neil Pionk in Samberg's absence.
Yeah, I mean, the other night we obviously with Sammy getting hurt in the mini game, we had all 3 defensemen in there, Stan, Fleury and Villy, and kind of give them a chance. And then again, I want to run it again here and see with Stan's size and P's mobility. Got the same thing on the other pair with Luke's size and Fleury's mobility. Just kind of still kind of playing along with that right now and see how it kind of works yourselves out. We weren't really expecting this. With Sammy being hurt, so it's just something we're playing a little bit of catch up and seeing what kind of works with each group.
So not necessarily this arrangement for opening night next week?
Yeah, we'll just, give these guys, just like we talk about anybody, you get an opportunity, put in front of you, take advantage of it. So the fact that they, were together the other night allows them to kind of be together again tonight.
All right, and of course, Ville Heinola and Colin Miller, the other pairing, which makes 8 defensemen. I think for a long time we'd assumed it would be 13 and 8. Might it be 14 and 7? Scott Arneal was asked how he thinks that'll shake out by the time they do their roster cut down.
We'll see. That's decisions. Obviously, waivers falls into this. we actually, honestly, this has been getting thrown around for the last couple of days here. We're not sure where we're at with it. Some guys, there's lots of guys that have had really good camp. So we're going to kind of watch that game tonight, reevaluate everybody throughout this past, probably the last 10 days, and just make a decision. Like I said before, how we start the year isn't always how we may look in October, November, December. And so we'll just we got to talk to management, talk to the coaches, and kind of take it after tonight. He's good. He's frustrated, obviously. Everybody, you train so hard and so excited about coming out here. I mean, he's just a new homeowner, new contract, all that stuff. Just wanted to get off to a great start. Yeah, so he's frustrated, but at the end of the day, I'm glad that it's this early, and hopefully you can get him back in a half-decent timeline.
Right, Luke Schenn also spoke. He'll, of course, be playing with Hayden Fleury on his side. Luke Schenn was just asked if it's going to feel more like a regular season game with the projected lineup all together and on the roster and in the game tonight.
I think so. I think everyone's kind of got the same goal in mind where, you definitely want to get, like I said, your timing down and be sharp out there. And, like you said, the regular season's around the corner. We still got some practices, but this is sort of the final, tune-up before it. So, it's, like I said, there's a lot that goes into it. You haven't played with certain guys in the preseason so far. Everyone's still kind of getting the timing down, the systems, just all that sort of stuff. Yeah, we practice it all the time, but it obviously is a lot different in game action. So, we're excited to get going tonight and hopefully finish it off on the right foot here.
Right, there's big Luke Schenn, who'll be in the lineup tonight. And, of course, Parker Ford, as we just mentioned, is going to be getting the nod as the fourth-line center tonight with Jonathan Toews out. Here's Ford on getting the opportunity to play in this final preseason game.
Yeah, I think it's a great opportunity. I just got to continue to do my thing and, show them that I'm a reliable forward and can do my job.
And your job has now added centerman to the mix. I know it's something you've played before, but just take us through that process when they talk to you about maybe playing some center here in camp and preseason, and how comfortable has that been for you?
Yeah, it's definitely an adjustment in the pro level. I played center pretty much my whole career leading up, so I'm definitely comfortable there, but there's definitely lots more responsibility in the D zone and just little things that you have to kind of pick up. And but like I said, I'm super comfortable there, and taking face-offs is something I like to do and one of my strong suits, so I've liked it so far.
Ford has been good in the dot as well, and I think that has turned some heads, although I think Gus was 5 for 5 in his last game as well. So tonight, one final game in Calgary. It is back on the tube, so you won't have to go to the website for tonight's broadcast. And, of course, Paulie will have the call on 680 CJOB. All right, we're going to talk to our pal Brandon Rewucki coming up, Jeff Hamilton, a little Dober Hockey segment, and Lee Hacksaw. So we've got lots to get to. Do want to thank Princess Auto for their great support of WST. And, of course, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, Princess Auto Stadium, sold out every game this year, the home of the blue and gold. And, of course, Princess Auto is the place where you'll find the best deals on the most unique assortment of tools and equipment around. Everything you need to complete the projects on your list or start something new is at Princess Auto. So pop by and see them, Panet Road, Portage Avenue West, or out in Brandon. And, of course, you can always shop online 24/7, 365 over at princessauto.com. I know we were talking about some of those fun toys over at Chud's Power Sports. Well, you got to have batteries for your toys, and you certainly need to have a powerful battery to get you through the Manitoba winter, and it is just around the corner. Wondering how your battery's doing? Pop by Manitoba Battery for a free battery testing. And if you do need a new battery, you'll have the opportunity to get the best price in town, period, on your battery by shopping local at Manitoba Battery. As Donnie always says, wake up, Winnipeg, and stop wasting time and money shopping at the big box stores when you've got a local option with 2 locations, Logan Avenue, Dover Court Drive, with the best prices in town, period. And of course, Manitoba Battery can also deliver those batteries to you anywhere inside the perimeter. So pop by and see them in store, give them a call, or order online today at manitobabattery.com. And hey, as we get into the weekend, Mini Eve, you might be popping by your local Manitoba liquor marts. Folks, if you are, make sure to keep your eyes out for the Canadian Club display and the limited edition Blue Bomber label Canadian Club. Of course, CC is the official spirit of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, available throughout Princess Auto Stadium. And the Blue Bomber label bottle is now up and available while supplies last in store. So pick that up. Get ready for the push to the playoffs. Grey Cup week for Canada's original Canadian whiskey since 1858 Canadian Club. And while you're at it, keep your eyes out for that Canadian Club Club Pack. Still some great weather, some more summer drinks still on the menu as we get into October. All right, let's connect with our pal Brandon Rewucki, who now joins us, the host of Skates and Plates.
Rew, what's going on? How are you?
I'm doing good, man. How are things over there?
Well, listen, dude, this is the best time. I mean, I often say April is the best time. You know, we got the Masters, the hockey playoffs are starting, and we're just about done winter. But I got to tell you right now, I mean, with everything going on, with the crazy stretch in the CFL, the NFL in full force, starting this Jays series this weekend, Major League Baseball playoffs, and getting ready to drop the puck on hockey season, this has been a pretty fun stretch as we've gotten into September so far.
Yeah, you know, I mean, you know, I love my Masters, and it's tough to have anything top that. But this is the best time of the year on the sports calendar. I mean, come on, it just has to be, and especially with like the weight of hockey to get started, and then like you said, everything else going on. I mean, the Ryder Cup just wrapping up too.
What a crazy, I mean, listen, I love the Masters. To me, the Ryder Cup is just above everything, just because it had it all. If we thought that maybe we would see a kinder, gentler New York fan because it's a golf tournament, definitely not. Got a little ugly there, but man, Rory and the Euros got the last laugh.
Yeah, just a little bit, eh? Although, I mean, could you imagine if they had pulled off the Sunday Miracle Cup? I mean, that would have just been, I don't even want to, I'm not even going to contemplate what could have happened there. But yeah, I was rooting for the Europeans all weekend long. Give Rory credit, man. I mean, he's one of those guys too. He's almost like Buff, where it's like, just leave him alone. Like, don't. I know, like he's the head of the European team and everything like that, but especially when those bozos on one of the Saturday matches are chirping him, and then he dials one into 2 feet away for a tap-in victory. Like,
shut the F up. Yeah. It throws a dart to 3 feet for the win.
Yeah, that was a McElroy. Like, I'm trying to tell you guys how to watch this Ryder Cup here if you want the Americans to pull off a win. But it is nice as well to see the biannual. How can the Americans fix their Ryder Cup team, and how can American golf find a way to compete with what the Euros are doing? Right?
I will say this. It was shocking. I mean, having been like, I was in Hazeltine in 2016. I was in Whistling Straits in 2021. Like, it was nothing like what Bethpage was. It was truly one of the great things I'd ever been a part of. And there was nothing even close to that. Of course, they won. And I mean, just before we move on to hockey, I basically cashed my Europe tickets on Saturday evening. I could not believe the sweat, and credit to those guys. I mean, they can't play worth shit as a team, but you throw them out by themselves, and pretty good golfers. And man, we had to sweat it out. But let's get to this upcoming season. Hard to believe, man. We're going into year 15 of Winnipeg Jets 2.0 hockey with the home opener on Thursday.
When you put it that way, it is a little hard to believe. But it's almost here, and it's, you know, you would have liked to have had a little more, I think, of a optimistic start to the year, in the sense of, you know, the Taves tweak, we'll call it that for right now. Like, it's like we could have done without that for a couple of weeks at least. And then Sandberg's injury. I mean, Sandberg's just tough to replace, right? But I mean, outside of that, like, if you're looking back at the last 15 season openers, yes, it's not, you know, I think this team isn't as much of a formidable contender as they were back in 17-18, going into that year, where it was, you kind of got the sense like this team could be special, which is funny to say coming off a President's Trophy win. But I think there's still a lot to be excited for. And despite the West being a little more competitive this year than last, this team is still set up well to have themselves a really, really remarkable season. I don't think it'll reach the regular season heights of last year. Doesn't have to. And honestly, don't care either, because we've done the President's Trophy thing. Let's do the deep playoff run this year. And they've still got pieces to make that happen. Obviously, they need some good fortune and I think some external additions. But all in all, I do think, despite a so-so preseason, fans should still be pretty jacked up to get this baby underway.
Yeah, you know what? It's funny. I mean, we've got our WST winners, our NHL futures preview that's dropping tomorrow right after a legal curve, 11 a.m. on the YouTube channel. And going through, the landscape of the National Hockey League, especially with the Barkov injury in Florida, I mean, I can honestly say this is as wide open as it has been in a long time. And maybe this is the salary cap, kind of making a very even playing field. And I know people are going to talk about some advantages for other teams, but I mean, I go over to CoolBet, you got Carolina, Edmonton at 8-1, Colorado and Vegas at 9-1, Florida and Dallas at 10, Tampa 12, Jersey 14, Leafs 17, and then the Jets and Kings at 20-1. I mean, there's certainly no clear favorite right now, and a large grouping of teams that you could absolutely make an argument with a few good breaks and staying healthy could be a team that, is at the top of the regular season at the end. So I'm fascinated. Part of the reason why I brought up the fact that we're 15 years in is thinking back to what started it all. And that, of course, was the return of the Jets on May 31st. Do you remember what you were doing on the 31st of May back in 2011?
I do actually. It's funny. I remember how the day started too, actually. It was funny. I was one of my back when we were still with, I think wasn't even TSN 1290. It was
we were Sports Radio 1290 then.
That's what it was. Yeah. And so I had a rare day off, and the news kind of became official. It was a quick shotgun in my kitchen sink, and then I was off to downtown with pretty much the rest of Winnipeg to get the party started.
Well, speaking of that, Remo, if you could throw this up, I was doing some cleaning the other day, and I found an edition of the Winnipeg Sun from June 1st, 2011, and I'm just leafing through it, and I see this picture. I'm like, that's Rewucki. Can you confirm that is you, isn't it?
Yeah, as I told some people that bring that up every once in a while, that's about 15 years and 40 pounds ago. So that's about right. Shout out Slicer, shout out Rossi, shout out Sniffler. The whole crew was down there, and I totally forgot that picture existed. But yeah.
I had so much fun going through the Free Press and the Sun that day. I mean, I guess I just made a point. Hey, this is your big day for Winnipeg. And I threw a couple of those in a box and I went through them. And it was just such a fun run through a bit of a time machine on what was, I mean, I think we'll look back, maybe the most magical year. I mean, I guess if the team can run the table and win the cup at some point, that'll compare to it. But that day, that summer, that first season, it was so much fun. I mean, now been in the league for a while. It's like, act like you've been here. It's time to win some games. Listen, you kind of laid it out. Winning a President's Trophy again. I mean, hey, listen, it would give you a good spot in the playoffs and go forward to. But listen, this is a team that is in a little bit of transition, but still with a very solid base of star players that have been the basis of their competitive run over the last number of years. Just give me your thoughts on the landscape of the Central Division right now, because, of course, the Jets won it last year. They're 6-1 to win it. You've got Dallas and Colorado, who are kind of clearly, at least according to the bookies, a level above. Nothing you can take for granted in this division, starting right out of the gate in game number one.
Yeah, and just a quick aside, I do remember I was wearing a Lyle Moffat Jets jersey in that. You want to talk about deep cut?
A one of one.
Yeah, I might have been I was probably the only person in the city wearing a Lyle Moffat Jets jersey. The Central is a beast. It's you look at the divisions. the Central and the Atlantic are clearly the two most competitive divisions from top to bottom. You know, I just don't think you can make a compelling case that Winnipeg's on the level of Dallas and Colorado right now. I just think, I think the Jets are a playoff team for sure, but Dallas and the Avalanche, I mean, their weaknesses with the rosters they've put together are very minuscule and nitpicky. Whereas I think the Jets do have some legitimate holes. They've got high-end talent, as we saw last year, but I think their holes are just a little too steep compared to what the teams above them have. I'm a big believer in the Blues this year, man. I think they're going to be a very, very tough out. I think people will look back at that first round last year, Huss, and say the Jets did pretty good taking that Blues team down. Like, I don't think that was just St. Louis showing up for 7 games. I personally think that's depending on what side you're on, a harbinger of doom potentially, in that they're going to carry through that momentum. And I think they're going to be, I think they're going to finish ahead of Winnipeg this year in the standings. So that then pushes the Jets down to one of those precarious positions, right? Where, you're in a wild card spot officially. But I do think they are significantly better than Minnesota. I'm not buying the Utah hype, although they'll be a decent team. I think Nashville will be better, which again makes it difficult for Winnipeg. And the less said about Chicago, the better. So, the top of the division it's actually getting stronger. So it's going to be a tough sled for the Jets this year. But I don't know what's better, to go through the Central or to go through the Pacific. I don't know what the answer is, because Edmonton and Vegas are outstanding over there. But I don't think 110 points or so is going to be in the cards for the Jets this year. But I also don't think they're going to be down to the wire, game 82, battling for a playoff spot.
Yeah, it's funny you bring up the Blues and the Mammoth. One of the other things that I noticed in the to make or miss the playoffs, those two teams are pick'ems. Same odds on either side in the exact same spot. And I'm sort of with you. I mean, I guess we'll see. Maybe JJ Peterka turns into a real superstar in Utah and all those players take that next step. And maybe it's just from the respect that we got from that 7-game series against St. Louis, which was as good as you're going to see in the National Hockey League Stanley Cup playoffs. Funny enough, it often happens in round number 1. I'm sort of with you between those two teams. I'll buy the Blues as opposed to Utah.
Well, and, it's nothing against Utah, but, it's just funny because people see Logan Cooley, for example, and they're like, I think he's going to explode and be 80, 90-point guy. Oh, you mean like Robert Thomas was, who actually did it last year? Clayton Keller, can he do the same thing? And you go up and down their roster, and it's like everybody's projecting all their young guys to take a step, but development isn't always linear either. And I just think St. Louis has guys that have produced for a long enough time at the NHL level that you can bank on what you're going to be getting from them. And I mean, don't forget, they didn't have Dylan Holloway at all in that series against Winnipeg. He was basically a point-a-game player for them last year. So he's back fully healthy. Brober could potentially take another step as well. And then they've got a great 1-2 punch, much better than what they have over there in Utah right now. The Mammoth D is kind of thin for me as well. And Sergachev's had injury history. Like, I don't know. To me, Utah is just, I think everybody's jumping on a year too early. I think next year, if you want to say the Mammoth take a leap, I could agree with that, but I'm just not buying the hype train necessarily. And I actually, now that we're time removed from it, I kind of like Buffalo's work in that Peterka trade. Like, yes, they gave up the quote unquote best player, but they got a big right shot defenseman. They got a big mean power forward that can play in the middle six. I'm just not all in on Utah like it seems a lot of other people are. But the Blues to me are, Doug Armstrong's built a really strong team. He knows what he's doing. And Monty's one of the best coaches in the NHL.
And this is a fun conversation to have just a few days before this regular season starts. I'm just looking and, of teams that missed the playoffs last year. It seems like the books certainly think that the Rangers are going to be back. They're at -200 to be a playoff team. And I can sort of wrap my head around that. Let's just take the Rangers out of the equation for a minute. Is there another team that missed the playoffs last year that you think will find themselves into the playoffs, whether it be in the East or the West.
Not really.
Yeah, it's
like,
tough.
Yeah, like, you know, I think I saw somewhere, I could be wrong, but like there's 25% turnover from, you know, the few teams that make it, vice versa. And I get it, but like I just don't really see it a ton this year. The only other, and I agree with the Rangers, but even then, their depth is brutal. Like I love basically their starting lineup, and then after that, there's a ton of question marks. But if I had to pick one, I think I would go with Columbus. The only problem is, like, they're banking on either Merzlikins to be good all of a sudden, or for Jet Greaves' 9-10 game sample to be the real thing. And that's a tough thing for me to buy in on. But their roster, I love. I think Fantilli's going to be right up there with the Celebrini-Bedard discussion officially. Wouldn't shock me if he has a more productive year than either of those guys. That would then slot, you know, Sean Monahan down into the second line, which I think would be a better spot for him at this point in his career. You know, Werenski solidified himself as one of the top 5 defensemen on the planet. And I'm a huge fan of Denton Matachuk as well. I think he can take another step. So the Blue Jackets would be the one team where I'm like, yeah, I could see it. But even then, like, that's such a massive question mark. Merzlikins, Greaves in the crease. So maybe this ends up being one of those outlier years where nobody really does take that next step because there was such few roster turnover this past offseason.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure whether there's a team that's going to go full Nashville like last year with high expectations that just completely face plants. I mean, when I look at the list, I mean, it's one that I would love to see the Buffalo Sabres finally take that next step. We've been waiting for they're plus 250. And the other team, and this is kind of transition into getting your thoughts on this Jackson Lacombe contract and everything that's happened. You know, this Anaheim team is pretty young, pretty exciting. And now they've got Quenneville coming onto the side of the bench. Like, I think listen, I'm not about to say that they're going to be a playoff team, but I definitely think that this Anaheim team is going to take a step forward. And listen, they've spent some money in the past week. I mean, they kind of squeezed Mason McTavish, and it took a while. And then, oh my God, I was not expecting a 9x8 deal for Jackson Lacombe, a player that legitimately most hockey fans probably haven't even heard of after 2 years playing for the Ducks on the West Coast in games that no one's watching.
Yeah, well, and if you did watch him, though, you're like, oh, that's a nice little like, it's the sticker shock, but he's a player. And he came out of nowhere last year. But if you're just looking at what he did on the ice, he performed like a number one defenseman. And so to get
47 points.
Yeah. And to get a guy like that locked up, especially with some of the contracts we're seeing now, that's going to be like number 2, number 3 defenseman money pretty soon. So I think it's a savvy bet. And it's one of the rare pieces of work I actually liked from Pat Verbeek. I mean, there's no doubt too. I mean, how many teams improved in terms of coaching going from Greg Cronin to Joel Quenneville this past offseason? I don't think it exists. I mean, the team hated him. There's just no other way you can't even sugarcoat it. Like, the players hated Greg Cronin ever since he was tapped to go behind the bench there. So I think the Ducks will be a decent amount better, but I think that's another team that's still a year away, right? Like,
I do too.
You're banking on Leo Carlsson to go from promise to 90-point guy. Could happen. I'm not going to make that bet right now. So I think they'll jump up a good 8 to 10 points in the standings, but that gets you to the high 80s, low 90s, and likely still a few points outside the playoff line.
Yeah, let me put a marker down on the Ducks as a playoff team in 26-27.
There we
go. But I do think, I mean, they, obviously there's a lot of circumstances surrounding his availability, but Q coming back on the bench with a team like that, I think that the future is bright in Anaheim. Hey, before we go, how you feeling about the Jays and the Yankees series starting tomorrow?
I'm feeling a little bit worse after watching Schlittler just carve everybody up, and
that was a stud performance for a rookie in a big game.
Yeah.
Wow,
could have done. I would have much rather had an 8-7 bomb fest, and then but
15 innings.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, I feel okay. At least the bats for Toronto woke up in the final couple games. And so sometimes it's almost good to have everybody go cold at once. And it's like, we got that out of the way. And now we can figure this out here. I'm intrigued to see if the trend of the wild card teams, advancing further on than the teams that took a break continues this year. Because it's been pretty consistent so far that it's tough it has been tough, at least for teams with the amount of time off that they've had to get back into it. But I would say I'm cautiously optimistic. It's funny. I go back to one of the games I was watching earlier this year, and Buck Martinez, I think it was a Yankees out of town score, and Buck he just had enough. He's like, I don't care what anyone says. The Yankees aren't a good baseball team. They hit home runs, but they can't do anything else. And so I'm going to stick with Buck. I'm going to say that the fielding, although the Yankees, they fielded pretty damn good last night, but I'm going to say that either a base running or a fielding error contributes to the Yankees' downfall in this series, and the Blue Jays do just enough to move.
Yeah, I cannot wait for games 1 and 2 this weekend. And listen, can't wait to chop it up with you all season long. New skates and plates available heading into the new season, I'm sure.
Yeah, Friday is actually the release of the Bold Predictions episode. So if you want to laugh, it's a good episode to tune into. Although I think some of these will hit. I think people will like my Winnipeg Jets one. It's an optimistic, positive one, I would say. So
there's the tease, folks. Skates and plates, wherever you get Winnipeg Sports Talk and your other favorite podcasts. Have a great weekend. Enjoy everything going on this weekend, and we'll talk to you next week once we drop the puck.
Yeah, you as well. Looking forward to puck drop. We'll talk soon.
All right, good stuff with our pal Brandon. Gang, this is a big sports weekend. And as we mentioned, no Bombers and no Jets after tonight. Tonight, though, great spot to roll into your local Boston Pizza. Check the Jet game. Check this big one with the Riders in action in Ottawa. And then tomorrow afternoon, if you're looking for a great spot to get rowdy with your friends behind the Blue Jays, Boston Pizzas all across the province are going to be banging with Blue Jays fans. No better place to get together with your gang to watch the big game than your local Boston Pizza. And of course, Sunday, a full slate of NFL action. Game 2 between the Blue Jays and Yankees. And then Chiefs-Jags on Monday Night Football coming up. Every primetime game. Great prizes at your local Boston Pizza. And all playoffs long, your Blue Jays headquarters is going to be your local BP as well. Ice cold schooners, world famous BP wings, gourmet pizzas, and the best place to get together for sports watching is BP Lounge. Staying at home tonight, order and get it hot and fresh to your door online at bostonpizza.com. And hey, I know there's probably some people going, man, I'd love to get a Jays jersey or a lid or something like that for the playoffs. We'll get on down to Royal Sports before the game starts tomorrow afternoon. While you're there, you can pick up some gear for the start of Winnipeg Jets season, some awesome Bomber merch as the team pushes to the playoffs, and a full array of NFL gear. And of course, the Royal, for over 50 years, the #1 hockey superstore in town. One stop to get ready for the upcoming season is all you need. Royal Sports, 750 Pembina Highway. Pop by and see them, and make sure to follow them on Instagram at Royal Sports Winnipeg for the latest merchandise drops and sale information. We've got Hacksaw coming up a little later on, some fantasy hockey, Hammers next. First, though, a big cheers to our friends at Winnipeg's favorite local brewery, Little Brown Jug.
You train day in and day out, learning new techniques, approaching new concepts, and living out the thrill of achieving your goals. Building a craft beer is no different. While you spend your hours on the ice, we spend ours here, brewing our trademark beer. Again, and again. Here's to pushing the status quo and challenging ourselves to build something memorable. 1919 by Little Brown Jug.
All right, my tag team partner on CFL 110, which of course is live right now as well, this week's edition on Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily. Jeff Hamilton of the Winnipeg Free Press joins us. What's going on down at the office today?
Holy smokes, that was a quick intro. I rarely start there. I could have been doing some things here. Yeah, I am doing some things down here. I'm down at the Winnipeg Free Press headquarters. We were talking off mic. I do come more than the average sports reporter, as I also do other work outside of the department, but this time I'm in. For why I'm usually in is to get some money here, to get some expenses through. So happy to do the interview here, and happy to eventually get some money back owed to me, which is great.
Yes, indeed.
Great Friday. Paid today too. Holy smokes! It's all coming up. Jeff, right now.
Just in time for the weekend. Hey, just before we kind of get into Bombers CFL football, Hammer, we obviously through the CFL season have really been focusing on the 3-down game. But what are your thoughts on the Jets coming up this season? It has been a great preseason with the injuries that they've had. We already knew Lowry was going to be out. Sandberg's out right now. Kind of wait and see on Jonathan Toews for the opener. But, they set the bar pretty high last year, winning a President's Trophy in the regular season. Game 1 of 82 on Thursday. Where are you at on your expectations for what the Jets will do coming up this season?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the new season. I think everybody gets, jacked up when a new fresh slate of NHL comes into play. Obviously, being here in Winnipeg and knowing the Jets better than any other team, you look at this year and to your point, Huss, I think it's created some pretty heady expectations, right? Especially when you consider the expectations heading to last season weren't all that high. Obviously, were massively exceeded, and then this year, obviously they were high, but, President's Trophy high, I doubt that. But I'm clearly, have lived up to those expectations last season and now have to build on that. That's going to be a tough deal for Winnipeg. So, I think my expectations are tempered right now. Obviously with, the news of Dylan Sandberg, that was a mighty blow, if you will, in training camp. I know it happens and has happened to other teams as well, but that one's we all know what this defensive group looks like with and without Dylan Sandberg. Heck, kind of have similar conversations about when Connor Hellebuyck's out of the lineup. Obviously, I'm not putting Sandberg in the same conversation as the reigning Hart Trophy winner here, but he obviously is a big piece. And then, of course, you look at the center, right? You look down the middle of every team, and while it was certainly an exciting thing to get a Jonathan Toews on the roster and bring him back home, if you will, he's already dinged up, right? I'm sure a lot of this stuff right now is precautionary, but you do wonder at his age and his time away from the game how durable he will be, right? So it's not the best news. And then of course Adam Lowry, right? We all know how big of an impact he makes on the team on and off the ice. To have him off the ice for, we'll see how long that is, maybe a month or so. We'll figure that out here. But so I do think I think the excitement is high. I think the expectations probably need to be tempered if you believe, this team's going to come out of the gate as hot as they were last season. Not ruling that out, right? I think this team plays its best hockey when its backs are up against the wall. So maybe that early adversity will trigger something in this team to, do better than just tread water. But I do think the expectations, given some of the exits, not having a Nikolai Ehlers on the roster anymore, I know that's going to hurt for some people. Going to be weird to obviously see him playing in Carolina, but I do think the Jets are a good team. They obviously have the, great pieces and they have, they have the right costing pieces as you look at these new contracts, Huss, which is obviously going to be a very, very interesting situation with Kyle Connor. Already is an interesting conversation, but after you see what Kaprizov got in the 17 AAV, you have to wonder how that is going to trickle down to the Winnipeg Jets, in particular to Kyle Connor.
No, it's a great point. Listen, just I'm going to throw out the why not question of the day for Not AutoCorp to Waverly and McGilvery to everybody in the chat. And it is your predictions. Let's get a point total and where the Jets finish in the season. I'll get to some of that in fan feedback. Total for the books right now, 98.5 is the over-under for Winnipeg. So, there will be some regression, it is assumed, but that should still make the Jets a strong playoff team. But interested in your thoughts, let us know for the Why Not question of the day in the chat. Yeah, dude, the deals that have been dropped this week have been wild. And, there's UFA deals and there's RFA deals. The Jackson Lacombe one, I think, caught a lot of people off guard. But there is
especially
an element
for that organization.
Well, exactly. And the way they hardballed Mason McTavish over the course of the summer. But they got their stud young defenseman done. He's there for 8 years more. But the Kaprizov deal was the one that sent shockwaves through the league. And what's interesting about the Connor negotiations are that, we've really heard from a lot of the people that seemingly have connections to it that they're kind of similarly on the same page for a deal in and around the Marner number, but what they'd been going back and forth on was the structure. The Jets did not want to front load it like so many of these deals have been taking place. And then the Kaprizov deal happens. And not only is it far beyond, I think, what anyone expected that he could possibly get, but it is entirely front loaded. 16 of the 17 million every year paid on July 1st. So I certainly would agree that what happened in Minnesota didn't make Larry Simmons and Kevin Cheveldayoff's jobs any easier at finally putting this Connor contract to bed.
Well, and it's, I'm not going to say it's all about timing, Huss, but, when you look at this situation, I mean, the Jets can look at Kyle Connor and go, oh, man, like that certainly it makes our situation rough. And we all know that each situation is different. I mean, even as Kaprizov was trying to figure out the dollars and cents of his contract, I mean, it was being compared to Connor McDavid, who all of a sudden wasn't going to take the most money, right? Or wasn't going to take this and then be 26, 27 with 25 million, right? He's going to take a friendlier deal. But it's funny, it's interesting now as the cap continues to rise, what the concessions are, right? The concessions now, as you mentioned, are upfront money, right? Bonuses, signing bonuses, again, getting that money, letting that money, as other guests have mentioned on your show this week and previous weeks, to get that money going, right? You can make money with money. That's why you want all that money right now, so it can continue to grow, so you can invest it, those kind of things. So there is a big advantage to that, especially if you're like a Kyle Connor who, when you look at Kaprizov's number, you start doing like how much, you start doing the conversation. Assuming he even thinks he's worse than him, you start asking yourself, well, how much worse am I? Am I $1 million, worse? Am I 2 million? This is what players and agents obviously do, especially when there's new precedents set. The thing about Winnipeg, Hassan, I know there's some people who have talked about it on this show. I feel like that sometimes I talk a bit around it. I think when you look at the Winnipeg Jets, you look at True North, you I don't want to say you immediately think of David Thompson, but when you start thinking of all the challenges around money with the Winnipeg Jets and the ticket sales and all those things, and everyone always goes, well, just go to the Thompson family. They're gonna cut a check. That's never been the case here in Winnipeg. It's always obviously been somebody in the background and someone who's been part of it, but it's been Mark Chipman and True North that have carried this franchise. It's not like they go to David Thompson and go like, I need some more money for this. They manage a business, right? They run a business. And I just don't think, I'm certainly not talking about them having shallow pockets, but when, it's particularly when we're talking about the present company here, Huss, what I am saying is there are teams that have bigger pockets, that have people who are in Mark Chipman's position within their organization, who have more money, who are capable of doing that. I'm not saying the Jets aren't capable of doing that. I just think it's more challenging for them. And like a lot of businesses, don't want to set new precedents, don't want to set a new precedent with this contract. So the next deal, whether it's, more than Kyle Connors or less than Kyle Connors, they're giving these upfront money. Some businesses just don't have millions upon millions to cut a check just like that, and they like the fact that it's obviously paid over a course amount of time, in case obviously yearly. But it's an interesting thing how much of that will matter to Kyle Connor. I think we're about to find out here, Huss, right? Because I think, if he's going to take concessions in one place, that be notably the amount of money per year, the amount of money against the cap, he's probably going to want a big chunk of it in bonuses. So that's going to be the conversation, I'm sure, is the conversation. To your point, to what I've heard, to what others have heard, it doesn't sound like Kyle Connor wants out of here. I think he likes the way he's used in Winnipeg. He likes the players he plays with. I just think he wants a solid deal, and he finds himself in a situation where he also needs to do it more than, we often hear this, right? It's a business. This is the business part. No players are going to go to Kyle Connor and convince him to take less money, are going to be pissed off at him if he takes more money. But I think what he's trying to figure out is what is respectable for the player that I am with the salary cap and the way it's rising. Like, what is a fair deal for both sides? And of course, whether it's your agent or him, you're always going to want to get a little bit more than that. So that's, I think, is what's being figured out here. It just doesn't help when you have these big deals being signed and they have not only a higher value to them, but they also come with those kind of bonuses and money up front, like we saw with Kaprizov.
Well, and you listen, you make a great point, and I think a big part of it, it's not the players that are going to be saying anything. I mean, the players are going to want what's best for him and to do well for he and his family, and he's certainly earned it as a star player here in Winnipeg. But there's also the conversation about what the agents are trying to do right now. And
Totally.
I mean, listen, it is a good time to be a National Hockey League agent. I'll tell you that much, as seen by these deals that have been signed. And even if Kyle Connor was to say, guys, I don't really care. Like, let's just get this thing done. I really do think there is an internal pressure from the PA and the other agents that for these big deals that will be like the Kaprizov deal, in a lot of ways, precedent setting for a new market in the league, that even if they were kind of fine with kind of meeting in the middle, there's a pressure on the squeeze to continue to do what's right for the rest of the Players Association. And that's bigger deals, more bonus money, term, all of that. And I think that's a big factor in this all as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you want to add another element to this, Huss, like, what about the future? What about signing deals 5 years from now? Like, if you're going to sign an 8-year contract right now, what about the guys signing in 4 years from now? Are they going to remember 4 years ago that you took a haircut at a time where they're trying to get not $5.5 million, but $8.5 million? Like, where does it stop? Like, who becomes the nice guy in all this? Obviously, if your salary is up near the ceiling of NHL contracts, it's a little bit easier to kind of make those concessions, if you will. If it's $1 million, whatever per season, or even more potentially. But I think this is setting the stage for negotiations that happen in the future. That's why no player is ever in another player's ear saying, hey man, like, we got something special here. Like, you should take like a little bit less than that, because when their time is up, they're not going to want Buddy in their ear saying, hey, our team's really rolling right now. And if if you can sign for this, maybe Buddy can do, maybe we can bring this guy over and build around. Like, it's all situational. And right now, what we see is a rising salary cap. And the unfortunate part for the Jets organization, and I would call this a luxury, Huss, is the 2 times that they signed Mark Scheifele's contract, right? The first time they signed his contract was right at the beginning, nearing the end of when you paid for players and what they had done, not what they were going to do, right? So and then obviously Mark signing his deal at the same time Connor Hellebuyck signed his deal. We knew the salary cap was going to be rising, but I did not know to the degree in which it would be rising and the continuous degree in which it would be rising, right? So no longer can Mark Chipman or Larry Simmons or any of the management team or Kevin Cheveldayoff, obviously, notably, is going to be able to look and be like, this is what we're paying Mark now. Like, the economics are so whacked from that contract since signing that contract that anybody goes there, whether you're a Dylan Sandberg, a Kyle Connor, a Morgan Barron, whatever, everybody's pay got knocked up a little bit just based on the increase in the salary cap. So I just think, to your point about the agent having an idea of things, I'm sure Kyle has an idea of things. Obviously, they have conversations. It's not like the agent is going rogue, but it will get to a situation, when the negotiation, as it continues on, if it delays, that eventually Kyle's going to have to say something. That's what happens here. You eventually break the silence by saying, you know what, this is where we're at. Okay, I'd take that concession. The thing is does Kyle Connor need to do that before the season starts? Do the Jets want him to? 100%. But does he need to? No. And we also live in a professional sports economy where if you get injured in this year, you're not losing out on your money in the future. So I do think there's very little risk for Kyle Connor heading into this final year, and all the risk on the Winnipeg Jets, who just saw Nikolai Ehlers leave and doesn't want to lose a guy who nets a bunch of goals and is coming off a 97-point season. So it's a really interesting situation. If I had to make a prediction, I'd like to think it gets done before the season. But when you consider all the complexities to it, when you think of all the things that are being considered in all this, it's far from an easy, sign on the dotted line and let's go here. I think there's going to be a lot more to it.
Yeah, I mean, the sooner the better for it, because as I said, if it looks like it's going to get problematic and there's been nothing to indicate that it is going in that direction, but I mean, it's not done until it's done. I mean, I stand by what I've been saying all summer. They cannot afford a repeat of what happened with Nikolai Ehlers. And if it got to the point where they didn't think they were going to be able to sign him, then they got to go to plan B. And there's a lot of work involved in plan B to maintain value.
And that's the problem with plan B is, like, and you hear from everybody, you hear from the Elliots, you hear from whatever, all the insiders. It's like, if you lose this guy, how do you go find a guy like that?
Ask
how
the
do you
Wild.
go find
I mean,
a 97-point player who tucks a bunch of G's, right? And tucks a bunch of 5-on-5 G's. He's like he's getting the job done as much as he should be on the man advantage. He's capable of it, but how do you replace that? And if you replace it, how much is it going to cost you? It's going to probably cost you more money, as we know. Every new contract, every star player that signs a new deal is likely going to be the next highest deal. That's probably not the case necessarily in the NHL, but it's possible. So it does put teams in a tough situation that if you gamble on this, Kyle Connor's good. The contracts are going up. Get a deal done. Get this guy on your roster and have the fans be happy and have them be tucking goals for the better part of the next decade.
Yeah, no doubt. Hey, by the way, gang, if you missed CFL 110, go check it out after WST before kickoff tonight. We do have our boosted parlay, which is up right now. We got on some good lines because they have moved both for BC and Saskatchewan as we expected, but it's still boosted up to plus 528. Riders minus 3.5, BC minus 3.5. And the Tiger Cats on the money line. Hammer, have a great weekend. I'll look forward to catching up with you. Big episode of CFL 110 next week as the Bombers get back to it. 3 more final games and the push to the playoffs. Have a great weekend, dude.
Yeah, thanks for having me, friend. We'll talk about the Bombers when they're playing. We'll see you next week.
You bet. There's Jeff Hamilton at Jeff K. Hamilton on X. And, of course, you can read him in the pages of the Winnipeg Free Press. We're not done talking puck yet. I'm going to check in with our friends at Dober Hockey in a minute and look ahead to the fantasy hockey season. Just looking at, let's do some fan feedback brought to you by Fans First, your number one spot for buying and selling Winnipeg tickets on the resale market, where what you see is what you pay. No added fees, unlike the other ticket resale sites. And the best place if you're a season ticket holder or a guy that's got a couple extra tickets to sell your tickets with fast prompt payment the next day after each game. Of course, CFL games now on there as well. And of course, NHL games throughout the season here in Winnipeg. Well, we asked for some predictions for the Jets this season. As I said, the over-under over at CoolBet's 98.5. Schickster's got the Jets at 101 in third. Sean Sinclair says 100 plus. Jay Miller says 97. The Derminator, what's up to our Chuds crew? Big power poll coming up in a few minutes. 103. Helly's Rib. Helly's Rib. Great new addition to the chat. 106 for the Jets, second in the division. Wesley's going 108. Dan Jets fan 102. And Scott Westman, 164 points. No losses on the season. Running the table, 82-0. I'll take the under on that one, but I'm still very optimistic about the Jets. Keep your thoughts coming into the chat for fan feedback brought to you by Fans First, by fans, for fans, no fees. Our Chud's Power Sports Power Poll in the NFL, Hacksaw, Marbles, all still to come. But right now, let's get ready for next week's puck drop and welcome in Michael Clifford, the associate editor for Dober Hockey, who's getting everybody ready for fantasy season. Michael, what's going on? Welcome to Winnipeg Sports Talk.
Thank you very much for having me, Andrew. Happy to be here. Just a beautiful fall day here. I think, like a lot of Canadians, excited for the NHL season. We also have the Blue Jays kicking off their divisional series tomorrow. So I think, a lot of people coast to coast are going to be into that. But great time to be a sports fan. This time of year is just absolutely excellent, and starting to champ at the bit a little bit, getting ready for the hockey season. It seems like preseason gets longer and longer every year, so I'm looking forward to it shortening a little bit next year.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, right here in the PEG, obviously we knew Adam Lowry was going to be out. Dylan Sandberg breaks his wrist. He's out for 6 to 8 weeks. Jonathan Taves tweaks something. He won't play tonight. The goal for Winnipeg tonight is just to get out of this game in Calgary unscathed, with as many healthy bodies as they can to welcome the Dallas Stars to begin the season coming up this weekend. Just quickly on the Jets, thoughts on the Jets from a fantasy perspective. This team won the President's Trophy last year. Kyle Connor was a big-time fantasy stud. You got Mark Scheifele, Josh Morrissey. Is there any guys that you're particularly buying or selling when it comes to the Winnipeg Jets, or some maybe deeper players that are intriguing you that might be some good value plays?
Sorry, I bonked his microphone.
Hold on a second. Remo just bonked your microphone out.
I tried to...
the master of the mute.
How about this one? I think this
okay.
Is that the good one?
Can you guys hear me now? Okay.
Yeah,
better now.
perfect.
Okay, good. The top of the Jets lineup looks as strong as ever, right? Kyle Connor, you can hopefully pencil him in for 40 goals over a point per game. Mark Scheifele over 30 goals, point per game. Gabriel Velarde, as long as he's healthy, looks like he could be a 60, 70 point guy. So like all those guys look strong. Josh Morrissey, you want to say he's underrated, but it feels like he's really starting to turn a lot of heads across the league, even from people that don't pay attention to the NHL day in and day out. So they're all great. Obviously, Connor Hellebuyck in your fantasy drafts, he's probably going to be a top 20 pick. He's the number one goalie off the board, I think, for very good reason. After you've seen the seasons that he's had the last few years, but not only is this guy important to fantasy hockey players potentially, but I think also the Jets, just in real terms, is Cole Perfetti, right? Losing Nikolai Ehlers there's no way around it. It's a big loss. Particularly in the regular season, this is a guy where if he's playing 16, 17 minutes a game, he can be close to a point per game. He is dynamic and dynamite in transition. He's just truly one of the best forwards in the NHL through the neutral zone, being able to get set up in the offensive zone, get his teammates open looks and things like that. You just can't, unless you go and sign a similar superstar or trade or similar star or trade for a similar star. You're just not going to replace that overnight. So can Cole Perfetti take that next leap that I think we all think he has in him? Because, through his first 100-ish games of his NHL career, he looked like he was on that ascension to be potentially the next Nikolai Ehlers, maybe, not as prolific a goal scorer, but certainly as good of a playmaker and being able to elevate his teammates. He's getting the first crack on the top power play unit, which obviously is critical for a point production when you're talking about top guys. Being able to get those top power play minutes could be the difference between a 60 to 65 point season or a 40 to 45 point season, right? And if Jonathan Toews being there, Jonathan Toews doesn't need to be the guy he was 6-7 years ago. He doesn't need to be 19, 20 minutes, top of the lineup. They have Mark Scheifele who can take those minutes. Adam Lowry, when he gets back and he's healthy, can take a lot of the defensive responsibilities. So if Perfetti and Toews can kind of find a little bit of chemistry there, I think Perfetti is one of those guys that could really surprise a lot of people, where if he takes that next step, like I said, I think he has the ability to do, and Toews can kind of be 80% of what he was 5 years ago, then I wouldn't be surprised at the end of the season if we're looking at Perfetti having something like 20 to 25 goals and upwards of 60 plus points.
Yeah, perfect time with the young man looking for a new contract in the next off season. We've all seen what's happened to contracts over the course of the last couple of weeks, which brings us to breakout players this year. There's always, listen, everyone knows if you want to win your fantasy draft, don't screw up your early picks, but they're often won in the mid or later rounds. In the past, Wyatt Johnson, Quinton Byfield, Mason McTavish, these are players that have shown some pop but haven't really rose to the superstar level. Give us a few guys, Michael, that, are on your draft board that you think are poised to maybe exceed what the expectations are going into the season.
Yeah, I think just overall, I would start in Anaheim. To bring it to last season for a second, I think a lot of people were surprised by Columbus, especially, the offseason tragedy with Johnny Gaudreau. You lose not only a player like that on the ice, but in the dressing room. And, how do you bounce from that? And they were a very good offensive team. They took a lot of players took a big step. Werenski was healthy, played to a Norris level. Kirill Marchenko was great. Sean Monahan, when he was healthy, he was fantastic. So can the Anaheim Ducks kind of follow that suit? And I think they can. If you look at the second half of last season, they were 13th or 14th in the league by 5-on-5 scoring from January 1st onward. And, this was with a blue line with a lot of young guys that were still growing. Obviously, Leo Carlsson was only in his second season. Cutter Gauthier, he's looks like he's finally ascending this year. They finally signed Mason McTavish after that long standoff, and they got him in. There's a lot of tracking data tracked by the website All Three Zones that shows they're creating a lot of scoring chances. They just weren't finishing on them. And I think maturity is part of that. It's, having those NHL games under your belt. So, Jackson Lacombe just signed his huge contract. And I think he's started to turn heads last year, and he's going to keep doing that this year. So Cutter Gauthier, I think, is a guy that if all goes really, really well, he can push for 30 goals. I think, as long as he doesn't completely, have a complete jinx, 25 goals is more than on the table for him. I think Mason McTavish is kind of the same thing. Leo Carlsson, if he's playing at the top of the lineup, if he's playing 19 to 20 minutes a game and he's playing in all three phases and he's, one of those guys that new coach Joel Kenville is going to rely on, he could have, a 60-plus point season. Jackson Lacombe probably isn't going to be a top 20 defenseman off the board. And if you look at what he did, he was basically on the third pair to start last year. After a month, he was close to their top defenseman. In the second half of the season, he was their top defenseman. The big thing with Anaheim is, can they turn around the power play? Power play was awful last year. It's been awful for a few years now. But, we have all those young guys that are a year older. You brought in Chris Kreider, which, how much he has left in the tank, we'll see. But I think undeniably, as a net front presence on the power play, he's still incredibly potent. And it was something that team was really missing last year on the power play. If you look at where they're shooting from on the power play, is a lot of perimeter shots, a lot of missing the net, things like that. And I think Kreider is going to be that difference maker for them on the power play. So if that power play can even just get to slightly below average rather than awful, I think you're looking at, really, really good performances from Cutter Gauthier, from Leo Carlsson, from Mason McTavish, from Jackson Lacombe. I think it could be a treasure trove of people, after you make your first 7, 8, 9 picks, maybe look for some of these Ducks guys, because I think, to give ourselves a little pun here, they're kind of ready to take flight.
Yeah, they and listen, I think that the addition of Joel Quenneville is massive. Having an established Hall of Fame coach roll in with that level of experience to take this team to the next level. I was having a conversation on our NHL Futures show earlier about the Ducks, and I mean, I'm not willing to put them in the playoffs this year, but give me a marker for the Ducks next season to be that team that all of a sudden arrives and is there. But I think there's some fantasy goodness there for you if you're jumping in. Goalies are always weird because, when you're talking fantasy leagues, depending on your scoring, sometimes they're by far the most important position and guys are picking them in the first round and others weight them less so. But just as far as goaltending goes, regardless of scoring, there's the big guys, there's Helly, there's the Shesterkins, there's Vasilevsky. Is there a goalie or two that might be a little off the radar for casual fans that you think either their play or their situation provides particularly good value when you're looking to round out the goalie aspect of your squad?
Yeah, and I'll stay in the Western Conference for this. There's a couple guys. One is in Seattle with Joey Daccord. I think, he's kind of flown under the radar a little bit just because Seattle hasn't been very good for a couple of years. And if you're, unless you're Dominic Hasek, literally, you're just not going to stand out on a team like that. But I think he individually has been very good. And I think the Philip Grubauer experiment has just run its course. This isn't a team that I think is ready to give Grubauer 35, 40, 45 starts or whatever anymore. I think Joey Daccord is the guy. And even if Seattle's, I don't think they're going to be a playoff team. Even if they're not a playoff team, Daccord probably isn't going to be a top 20 goalie drafted in most fantasy leagues. And he's going to get, probably 50 to 55 starts. And I think I actually wrote about him a couple of days ago. I likened him to Ilya Sorokin because the New York Islanders, I don't think are going to be very good either. I don't think they're going to be a playoff team. But Ilya Sorokin is being drafted as the 7th, 8th, 9th goalie, somewhere around that. Joey Daccord is going somewhere between 20 and 25. And I think they're similar in talent level. And I don't think Seattle and the Islanders are going to be a whole lot different when we look at the standings at the end of the season. So rather than take Sorokin as the 7th or 8th or 9th goalie, why not wait a little bit and grab Joey Daccord? And the other guy is Karl Vejmelka. A month ago or so, I was a little nervous around him because I still think there's something with Connor Ingram. I think he can be a true starting goalie in the NHL, but obviously he's in Edmonton now. And that leaves Vejmelka wide open to make 55-plus starts. And I think Utah is one of those teams that I, amongst many others, think could be one of the teams that jumps up into the playoffs this year. They have a great top six. They picked up JJ Peterka. They have, lots of scoring up front. The defense might be a little bit suspect, but I think they have to stay healthy, right? Because they lost John Marino for a huge chunk last year. They lost Sean Durzi for a huge chunk last year. As long as that blue line stays healthy, Vejmelka making 55 starts for a playoff team, and he's also going to be somewhere around the 20 to 25th goalie off the board. Those two guys, I think Vejmelka and Decord are two that, whether the bubble playoff teams or non-playoff teams or whatever, they are the lock number one starters for their teams, and that in itself is worth quite a bit in fantasy.
Great stuff. Yeah, I mean, a lot of drafts this weekend and early next week, and then it is go time on the National Hockey League scene. If you've got a draft this weekend, or you're doing your pool, or you just want to be on top of it all year long, check out the Dober Hockey Fantasy Guide, celebrating 20 years as the number one most trusted draft day tool, constantly updated with trades, injuries, lineup changes, right up until puck drop, giving fantasy players the ultimate edge. Available now at dobberhockey.com. The work's just about done for you guys for preseason, and now it's time to have some fun and drop the puck.
Yeah, I can't wait. That first day, if you got games starting, I think it's around 5:30 Eastern or 5 o'clock Eastern, and then it's, bang, bang. And then I just can't wait for the season to get started. It looks like, especially in the Western Conference, the top half of that conference, it looks like it's just going to be a barn burner every night. So I'm looking forward to a lot of late nights here on the East Coast watching the Jets, watching the Ducks ascend and those things. It's going to be a great season.
Michael, appreciate you jumping on. Hopefully we can catch up later on this season. All the best, and enjoy the weekend of Blue Jays action and football before we get going with another NHL season.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot for having me, Andrew, and enjoy the season.
Appreciate it. There's Michael Clifford, Dobber Hockey. Check out dobberhockey.com. All right. Hacksaw is locked and loaded, and I figured now with the institution of the Chuds Power Sports Power Polls, I would drop my first NFL Power Poll right before Hacksaw comes on, and he can critique me and tell me how nuts I am. Of course, our Power Polls are brought to you by our friends at Chuds Power Sports, Manitoba's ultimate power sports superstore for over 80 years up in Gimli. And listen, the guys, I know Jerry, who I met because he is a former winner. Unlike Derminator, who's been trying to win the marble race for 3 years, he did win and pop by. It was great to meet him. But check this out, and this is part of like the trusted name that Chuds is. 130 years of experience in sales and finance for the crew of Jerry, Michael, and Greg, who bring unmatched expertise, dedication, and insight to every customer interaction. These seasoned pros have seen the industry evolve and have consistently stayed ahead of the curve, delivering results, lasting relationships, and driving success for Chuds and its clients. And again, whether you're looking for guidance on your next big purchase or navigating financing options, you're in the best hands. Their deep knowledge, personalized approach, and commitment to excellence make them the trusted faces of Chuds Power Sports. And just before I drop this on you, check out this bad boy. A 2025 Polaris 570 Touring Edition is on sale now until October 31st with a savings of $22.40 off the manufactured suggested retail price of $15,489. And the Touring Edition means it has a 2-up seat, so you can put the wife, husband, or one of the kids on the back to hit the trails, and they'll deliver your new unit to Winnipeg free of charge. Check out the boys, Dermot and the gang, and of course over at Chuds Power Sports in Gimli. Now, the first Chuds Power Poll, and Connor and Liz are going to have their Sunday live Power Poll. I can't wait to see what they cook up, is the NFL. And the Rams, after throwing up all over themselves now for the second time, this team should be 5-0. They're not in the Power Poll. The Power Poll is the top 5. And I will, out of respect for Hacksaw and the rest of the league, I'm just going to tell you right now, this is the last week of the year that the Chiefs will not be on the Power Poll. They're an asterisk. I'm going to put them at 6 with a stock price going up. But here is the Power Poll going from 5 to 1. Number 5 is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They're in Seattle on the weekend. Now, to be honest, I think they could be higher, but here's the thing with Tampa. They had a chance to beat the Eagles. They didn't get it done. And the fact of the matter is the teams that they've beaten, not great so far. Falcons, Texans, and Jets. Still think that they're very good right now, very live in the NFC. The Chargers, who might be on the other side of this after the Chiefs get in, they are at 4th right now. They had that tough loss last week to the New York Giants. No one saw that one coming. But big wins in Brazil over Kansas City, Denver, and the Raiders, 3-0 in the division. They deserve to be in the inaugural power poll. Chargers get number 4. The Detroit Lions are number 3. Bad news for the Cincinnati Bengals this weekend to get Detroit. Cincinnati is in tatters. Detroit is number 3 and trending very well after that opening blip with the loss to the Packers in week 1. And then there are 2 undefeated teams. The Bills are number 2. I'm not calling the Bills frauds, but I will say that this 4-0 record is a little iffy. They were incredibly fortunate to beat Baltimore on opening night. The total record of the 4 teams they've beaten is 2-14. So we'll see how they do against the Patriots. A bit more of a competitive matchup this weekend. Bills are number 2. And despite looking terrible for plenty of the first 4 games of the year, it pains me, but I have to put the Philadelphia Eagles as the number 1 team. Big wins over the Chiefs, the Rams, the Buccaneers, and the Cowboys. This hasn't been an easy schedule. They haven't looked great doing it, but they're the champs. They're still 4-0. So the Philadelphia Eagles, number 1 on the power poll. If you've got some takes on that, you can let them fly in the chat. Let's welcome in Lee Hacksaw Hamilton, who just saw the unveiling of the power poll. Hacksaw, how are you doing? And how off base am I, in your opinion, now that you've seen my top 5 right now in the NFL?
Just understand one thing, Hustler. What you say today will probably be different than what you say next week and the week after that.
Because the Chiefs will be in the top 5.
This ravage of injuries across the NFL changes the face of a franchise just like that.
Yep.
And that's the big storyline now in the National Football League. We have so many marquee players, including quarterbacks that are changing the chemistry of all these teams. But in terms of where you are, Philadelphia doesn't look like Philadelphia. But that being said, you're correct. The schedule has really been a meat grinder. But Philadelphia has gone through a lot of change personnel, especially offensive front, defensive front. So I don't know if they're built to do this for 17 games. But that being said, they did beat up all the toughest people that we'd want on the schedule. I tend to think Buffalo, despite whom they played, Buffalo's got every component covered. And at this point, they're playing much better defense than they have in the last couple of years. And Josh Allen has just right now put himself in the running for probably MVP of the NFL. Detroit, they're really rallying. And I think the big storyline with Detroit is for the first time in 2 years, their offensive front and their defensive front are still on the field, because last year they got ravaged by injuries. The year before that, the offensive line got nicked up. They're pretty good. Chargers are in trouble. They have so many offensive linemen hurt. The quarterback has taken so many hits and so many sacks, he's going to wind up in the hospital. And they can't stop the run when they play tough people. They get their brains beat out. So at this point, I think you're a little bit of a reach to have the Chargers at number 4 and at Tampa Bay number 5 until Baker Mayfield gets hurt. I mean, he is really carrying that thing, coupled with a very good defense. Keep in mind, Green Bay is really dangerous. Green Bay has got a really good offense, and they don't have their top 2 wide receivers there yet. Those guys will be coming off the injured reserve list pretty quickly. And out of nowhere, Indianapolis looks like they have every component there is. Now, whether they can make Daniel Jones and the running back play like this, but boy, they're playing really well. So I'd say Indy is going to be probably moving up. And in terms of Kansas City, they flashed us some potential. I mean, we saw Xavier Worthy, get on the field, and I thought he played pretty well last week in his spurts. And, they're 2 weeks out from getting Rashee Rice back. We'll just see if they can continue. But that Kansas City looked different last week than they had the first 3 weeks of the season. So I'll grant you that the arrow might be pointing up for them, we got to see if this is the real deal.
You know what? We'll get to some of the other games coming up, and I actually have a Chargers question for you when we talk about that game against the Commanders. But Lee, let's quickly, I got to get your take on last night's game. I mean, to me, the Rams should be not only on this list, but maybe at the top of this list. But the way that they found to lose that Philadelphia game, blowing the 19-point lead in the second half with 2 blocked field goals, and then the between the convert, the fumble on the 1-yard line, the 4th and 1 last night, kind of a miracle win for the 49ers, and a huge one on the road in the division with none of their starters minus Christian McCaffrey able to go.
Most amazing aspect to me, that was a 49er home game. I don't know if you've seen the video. There were no Rams fans there. Everybody was wearing red. This is Los Angeles. This is a team that's been to the Super Bowl and thinks it might be a Super Bowl worthy team again. I mean, I was shocked that Rams fans sold their tickets out. And that was a 49er home game in Los Angeles. Mac Jones is really playing well. He's thrown for 294, 298, and 326 the last 3 emergency starts. And Brock Purdy is re-injured that toe again, so we just don't know. And all of San Francisco's, their skilled people, most of their best skilled people are on injured reserve. It's absolutely fascinating what they're doing. So Shanahan's fingerprints are all over this successful start. And in terms of the Rams, help wanted. You got any eligibility left? Can you kick field goals? I mean, this kicking situation is a disaster in LA. Their 2 losses are a direct result of failed field goals, screwed up PATs, etc. And that being said, McVay not wanting to play for the tie at the end and trying to go for it on the 4th down at the 12-yard line in overtime, rather than going for the guaranteed field goal. They're really on the edge. Defensively, they're not playing as well as I thought they would. The last 2 weeks have been kind of shaky. But boy, they got a ton of quarterback sacks. They play with their hair on fire. But they got 2 losses, which is really stunning. But they got Stafford. They got Nakua. I'm waiting for Devontae Adams to really have a mega game because he's not had it. I mean, we've seen Puka Nakua have games of 10, 12, and 14 catches, which is amazing. They need to get Devontae Adams more involved in the offense. So the whole thing was shocking to me, especially the number of people wearing red in SoFi Stadium.
Some big games on the docket this weekend. We've got Eagles in Denver, Tampa and Seattle, both of those 3.5-point lines, and then this Chargers-Commanders game. And I kind of want to focus in just a little bit more on the injuries that you were talking about. What's the situation with Joe Alt? Because after they lost Rashawn Slater, if Alt is out for a significant period of time, I mean, that might be the most significant injury outside of Justin Herbert this team could have.
Well, it is right now. And he's got a high ankle sprain. And they don't talk to the media about injuries. They flat out lie about injuries. High ankle sprains are 4 to 6 weeks. Now, they have not put him on injured reserve yet, unless they figure that, hey, we'll just have him in 24-hour round-the-clock therapy. You ask Blue Bomber people about high ankle sprains. It's a long road back. So I'd say he's going to be gone. So they're on their 3rd left tackle. They're on their 2nd right guard. They're on their 2nd right tackle. Their offensive center hasn't played well. And their former number 1 draft pick at left guard had maybe the worst game I've seen him play in 4 years. And this was against a substandard Giants team, and they got their butts kicked. And Justin Herbert is getting shelled. He's been, as I said, he's been sacked 12 times. He's taken 47 hits in 4 games. He's going to wind up in the hospital. He can't hang in there and do this by himself. And they do have a good running back, but and the other story, and I've maintained this for 2 years running, they can't bloody stop the run. And they let their top 2 defensive tackles leave in free agency, and now they're playing a mishmash of kids. And they let the last place winless Giants run for 179 against them. So I think the Chargers, the injury thing has really derailed them right now. And they're going to start moving back into the teeth of the schedule shortly. In terms of Washington, Jaden Daniels is back and he is dynamic. I mean, the numbers he's put up in 19 games, 34 touchdowns he's accounted for, throwing and running, phenomenal. I think they're going to have to run Brian Robinson a lot to keep the pressure off Daniels and not risk getting him hurt. And they don't have McLaurin and they don't have Deebo Samuel. and they don't have Austin Eckler. So Washington has kind of become a one-man gang on offense. So they're going to have to do something to protect that quarterback and maybe play ball control and keep Justin Herbert off the field. So Chargers, Washington, it's kind of important for both of them. Washington's lost 2 in a row, both games while Daniels was out after the 2-0 start that they had.
Yeah, and the Ravens are probably in the worst situation of anyone right now in the league. I mean, that game, they're at home this weekend to the Houston Texans. The look-ahead line, like at the beginning of the season when they estimate what the betting lines will be, was Ravens -9. The Ravens are 2-point underdogs because literally everybody is out. And we'll be seeing whether they can just get a win or two and try and get healthy and stay in this. But this could be the season from hell for the Baltimore Ravens. It certainly started that way. But Hacksaw, I actually did want to just step away before we go to the majors. Thoughts on these division series, and of course the Padres. I backed you and your guys in San Diego. That bullpen, that Mason Miller. I'm like, how do you beat these guys? It was close at the end, but I want to just get your take on the end of the game. I'm not sure if you saw the video of the umpires leaving the game. I've never seen a team more incensed and more aggressive towards officials. You could tell that the Padres' end of the season did not sit well with the way that it went down at Wrigley yesterday.
Well, everybody in San Diego, where I'm based out of, is really heartsick because this franchise has been pretty successful. But this franchise has just never gotten it done in postseason. I mean, A.J. Preller, the general manager, has been here 12 years, and he's spent a fortune of money and traded away the farm system 4 times, and they've yet to win National League champions this series and never gotten to the World Series. And the problem is now they got all these pitchers who have all these injuries, Hustler. They have no farm system because they traded it all away again, and they're still stuck with enormous long-term contracts with aging players. And I'm really disturbed at Manny Machado and at Fernando Tatis. They are 2 of the highest-paid players on this franchise, and they continue to fail in postseason play. So everybody, what a letdown. Everybody is heartsick. The Bogarts call, I've looked at it from every different angle. I looked at it in slow motion. I think that ball crossed the plate and then dipped. Now, instant replay, if we had the ABS system, it might have been called a ball. But that ball was on the edge of the plate as it crossed the plate, and then it dropped. But they didn't lose it because of that. They lost it because Dansby Swanson and that second baseman, Nico Harper, made 6 unbelievable defensive plays in the 3-game series. They lost it because the Padres hit 189 as a team. They lost it because Machado and Tatis did not get a bleeping hit when it really counted in postseason, with the exception of Machado's 1 home run. So there's a lot of problems here, and there's a terrible undercurrent this morning that A.J. Preller might be leaving. And that's too bad because we have new ownership, and ownership's cutting payroll. And despite the fact they drew $3.43 million, which is an all-time record in this market, if he leaves, that's if he's forced out, that would really be unfair. So I talked to you next week. He might be in the market for a new general manager, which would inflame half the community, and the other half of the community would probably cheer. In terms of the playoffs, my goodness, Yankees, Toronto. It doesn't get any better than that. Detroit's living on borrowed time as they go play Seattle. I think the best series, this might be equal to a World Series. The Dodgers in Philadelphia is going to be absolutely phenomenal. And the Cubs renew their backyard rivalry with Milwaukee. The Dodger-Philadelphia playoff series, keep an eye on this, though. I mean, the Phillies hit the hell out of the ball at Citizens Bank Ballpark. I mean, that's a home run derby yard. And both teams have big bats. But Shohei Ohtani has never pitched in Philadelphia. And the desperation Dodgers, because of this bullpen crisis, are going to give the ball to the 22-year-old rookie Roki Sasaki, who's made 1 appearance as a closer in his entire career in Major League Baseball. And they're going to ask him to do it in Philadelphia, where the fans are beyond hostile. I mean, there's so many fascinating storylines, Dodgers, Phillies, but I'm happy for the Jays. I wish Bo Bichette was healthy enough to get there to support Springer, to support Vlad and these other guys. But baseball, the first round of the playoffs, the wild card week's pretty good games, and now we got the big boys are playing.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the wild card round was so much fun. I mean, the drama in the 3 deciding games last night. We got a day off tonight, and then they're back at it tomorrow. And I hope, Saw, that when you come on the program next week, we are talking about an entire country that is fired up, that the Blue Jays have finally found a way to get through a round and have sent the Yankees packing. It should be good. Enough stuff for you to talk about at LeeHacksawHamilton.com this weekend?
Unbelievable. We delayed my podcast last night till after the Padre game. We went on with our live stream right when the final out was recorded. Our podcast exploded. We had so many people jamming to get through because I do this thing at the end of my podcast called Fans Forum, where people actually join us in the chat room, and it was just electric. So, we had an awful lot on the podcast. When you're done watching Hustler here, O Canada Network, jump on mine, go to YouTube, Lee Hacksaw Hamilton. You can read everything I write because it's there first thing every morning. On my website, it's absolutely free, LeeHacksawHamilton.com. And, you're talking about people excited. The damn NHL season's about to get started. You got every right to be excited. You got so much going on north of the border, too.
Yeah, if you need any cash, just hit up that Jackson Lacombe, and he might have a little bit of extra spending money for you, Lee. Or maybe he could just buy Hacksaw Enterprises. It could be presented by Jackson Lacombe, and you could live happily ever after. Crazy deals in the league. Have a great sports weekend. Can't wait to talk to you next week. Puck dropping on a new season, more NFL, and the baseball playoffs continue. It's going to be fun. Have a great weekend, pal.
1919 to you. Thanks, man. Talk to you soon.
There it is. Lee Hacksaw Hamilton with us with the weekly NFL Notebook and a little bit of playoff baseball, which is a great segue into the Cool Bet lines. Before we get ready for marbles. Last call for marbles registration. If you just jumped in here, !marbles in the chat. We'll get to that in just a couple of minutes. First things first, CFL got a big game tonight. The Riders are now 5.5-point favorites over the Ottawa Redblacks. When it was 3.5 when we did CFL 110, we figured this number would get up, and we got in on it early. So that was nice, but if you want to get the Riders today, it's 5.5. The Ticats are 1.5-point favorites over the Argos tomorrow, and the big game when it comes to the West, BC and Calgary. BC 3.5-point favorites at home over the Stampeders, and I do notice that Cool Bet's been getting some action on the Bombers. 2 weeks ago, it was 20-1. Last week, it was 15-1. After the game on the weekend, it was 12-1, and now over the course of the week, it's gone down to plus 1050. Bombers still at over 10-1. Great value when you look at where BC and Calgary are at like plus 450, plus 550. Bombers should be right there. So needless to say, I got a little sprinkle on the blue and gold for the Grey Cup. Blue Jays postseason. Game 1's tomorrow. The Jays are a minus 125 favorite. Yankees plus 106. But when we're talking about Major League Baseball, this is a great day to take a quick look at the series prices. We just talked about them with Hacksaw. And despite being the World Series favorite at the beginning of the playoffs, Philadelphia is going to go into their first series with home field as an underdog, plus 105 to beat the Dodgers in the series. The Dodgers are minus 125. The Seattle Mariners are minus 172 favorites against the Tigers. The Blue Jays are a big underdog, plus 131 for the Blue Jays, minus 156 for the Yankees. Great value on the Jays there. And Milwaukee is a minus 119 favorite. Cubs are even money. Now, if you go to the combo cards, I believe you will see our parlay for the upcoming series. And it is, here we are, ride with us. Seattle Mariners, betting this one for Remis. Mariners to beat the Tigers. The Blue Jays to beat the Yankees. And the Milwaukee Brewers to beat the Cubs. That's plus 572. Guys, always taking care of us. Nice boost to plus 657. I'm going to bet that right now before that number changes at all. So we've got that locked in. Series prices for the Brewers, Mariners, and Jays, plus 657 in the combo cards as well. For all the NFL picks, check out WST Winners today. Myself, Pat, and Jake gave you our favorite picks against the spread. We've killed the prop so far this year. That's been going much better than the spread picks. We've got that in there. We've got our touchdown scorer parlay, and right now up in the combo cards, we do have our WST winners. We're going with the Giants plus 1.5, Houston minus 1.5, and Denver plus 3.5. You can jump on that one in the and that's got a nice boost to plus 729. And then we did have the one prop parlay. That's in the in the exclusives under the Winnipeg Sports Talk section. I'm rolling with James Cook, 16 or more receiving yards. Patty's got Cam Scatterbo for 3 receptions, and Jake is going with the little homecoming for David Montgomery with the Lions going into Cincinnati. 54 plus rushing yards. All 3 of those come in plus 675. And our touchdown play this week, Jake Allen, Woody Marks, Cam Scatterbo as well. Those are all up at the combo cards or the exclusives. Take advantage of the great boost that the Cool Bet Boys produce for us. And if you haven't played there before, use the promo code WST for a 100% bonus up to $200 on your first deposit. And don't forget, NHL season starts on Tuesday, which means all of the NHL futures are up. Tomorrow at 11, right after Illegal Curve, will be the premiere of our first of 2 parts of the NHL Futures Show. Myself, Pat, and Jake with our favorite picks for players, for teams, totals, conference winners, cup, all of that. That is premiering tomorrow, 11 a.m., right after Illegal Curve. So pop over to to Winnipeg Sports Talk for that. And Monday, we'll crank out a Jets preview along with Connor and Remis's picks on the upcoming season on a special edition of WST Winners as well, outside of a regular edition of Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily. All right, that's been a fun show. Lots to get to, but it is Friday, and you know what that means. It is time to get into the Marbles festivities. It's not, of course, officially a weekend in Winnipeg until the Winnipeg Sports Talk Marbles race. Everyone has made their entries. We'll find out where we're playing, but first up, let's get things going with a little Tristan Rivers music redemption, the music, the marble theme. Let's go. Can't talk anymore. All right, Marbles time on WST. Shout out to our friends at Shipman Associates. We got a WST hoodie for the winner of today's marble race. Remis, where are we going today?
Yes, Rick Buck says Chris Cross Lake. Yes, that is the Christopher Cross version of
Little yacht rock.
Yeah, marble race theme song done by the great Tristan Rivers. We've got 166 entries. I'll put you in as one, Hustler.
Yes, please do.
1 second. Oh, we got some last second entries in. Okay, we're done. I gotta close it. Okay, so I sampled a couple tracks. There's some new ones out there. The one I found, a very strong track. It's
love it.
The Brilliant Palace Sonata. What a name.
Brilliant Palace Sonata. Excellent. Hey, listen, if you missed it earlier in the show, just while Remis gets that set up, I was just checking. Someone just grabbed another pair of tickets for the home opener. So if you want to join us for Thursday night up in the WST section, we have only 6 tickets remaining, 1 pair and 1 foursome. Would love to have you join us. We've got a great deal on seats, which in your ticket includes a beverage through your Jets 360 app. And all you need to do is go to winnipegjets.com/WST. Jump on those tickets, grab them, and join us. And we'll get together a little early. I think the doors are going to open at 5:30 that day. Normally throughout the year, if we want to get in early, we will. But this is an early opening for everybody because of the home opener. And, of course, we're all going to get there early, see that President's Trophy banner, Central Division banner, and meet the 2025-26 Winnipeg Jets. And just everyone crossing their fingers that Jonathan Toews will be in hockey equipment and not a suit for the opening game. Of course, Jets finish up the preseason tonight in Calgary. But don't wait, gang. Get on those final 6 tickets before we are fully sold out. winnipegjets.com/WST. 6 tickets remaining. Let's fill that up, and we will see you on Thursday to kick off another great season of Winnipeg Jets hockey. All right, Remo, let's see what we got.
Okay, let me load this up. I'm closing all my tabs, and my thing hadn't refreshed. 243 marbles. And
whoa!
Yeah, you've got like 300 people watching, so pretty big ratio.
It's, by the way, just people asking David Austin, can I grab a single ticket or does it have to be a pair? Yeah, I'm sure you can. I mean, I'm just looking at what is there right now. So, I mean, there's 2 in one row, 4 in the other. So yeah, do it. I'm sure there's probably a few people that'll be looking at singles if they haven't. Lots of people did that last year. I mean, so many people have made connections and friends through the Winnipeg Sports Talk chat. That was one of the great things about the section. People recognizing or meeting people that they know from daily chatting here with us live on the program. So yeah, as long as it'll let you buy it, jump on it and do that. But it would be great to see many of you, for anyone that hasn't already jumped on it. Myself and Remo and Connor will be there. Guess we've got 2. I might actually sit lower in the section, so we've got a spot for either Connor or Liz with Remis. Did our season ticket draws last night. That's always the point where I'm really excited for the season. When you go through the schedule a million times, picking games and getting ready for it all. But 1 of 41 at home is Thursday night against the Dallas Stars. Going to be a very, very fun night at the arena. So get on those tickets, winnipegjets.com/WST, and join us for the first of 6 Winnipeg Sports Talk games of the month this season. All right, Remo, take it away.
Yeah, my app is doing an update. So I tested it before and I didn't need to do one. Now I'm opening it and it's telling me, hey, I need to update. So let me try this again. And we do have people asking us, I guess when you buy the ticket, the drink voucher comes later on. People are saying, I didn't get it right away. They usually add it the day of. And we had someone DM us on Instagram and I clicked on it and disappeared and I couldn't find it after. So I'm sorry to that person. I'm getting a kick out of a new user in the chat, Huss. The 55-yard line says the WST night out sounds like a good time. Don't hesitate. You'll never know when you'll just disappear. So shout out to the 55-yard line in chat.
Everyone's in here. Helly's Rib, Brad Marchand, the 55-yard line. Everyone knows Friday afternoon, this is the place to be here on Winnipeg Sports Talk for our marble race. And and by the way, I know there's some folks that already have tickets for the game. If you do, come early and come and join us up in the upper bowl. I think we'll normally I think our early access for the other 5 games is going to be in the craft beer corner over in section 310. I would have a feeling tomorrow, or for the Thursday game, with the doors opening early, most WSTers will probably gather in and around the whiskey hangar there, just right outside of section 316. And hey, for those of you that haven't been at the rink yet, especially in our section, you are going to love the fact that outside of section 316, just to the left, is the new market powered by Slurpee, where you can get your Slurpees. They've got the tachos, the KFC fingers and fries, poutines, a bunch of other snacks that you can just kind of rip through. It's a different look up there. The door to the bathroom's changed a little bit, and that concession stand that was there is no longer there. But it's been a pretty cool addition. We were out there for the preseason game and the little media or influencer night, and we got a chance to see that, and we'll fire that out on our socials coming up as well. We had some fun with everything that was put on the table, and did get to try all the specialty jet dogs this year. I'm kind of still full from all of that. All right, how are we doing? Have you updated? Are you ready to drop marbles?
No, I can't open Steam. So let me try. Oh, here. It's verified. Okay, now I think I'm good. Well, the last thing I need is everyone shouting at me in chat how to troubleshoot the thing. I'm on it. It's loading right now. We've got a 243 marbles plus Hustler in all capitals is in there. So very exciting time.
Yeah, you bet. Derek Schmidt, yeah, we'll all get together. It's just that with the game being at 7, normally we would get in at 5:30 if for people that wanted to get in early. The entire building's going to be open at 5:30 for this one. I don't think anyone's getting there 2 hours before the game. So yeah, I mean, we'll get together. As I say, depending on how things go, they've told us that for all of our WST games, they'll put us aside the area in the craft beer corner, which is just on the other corner. But I'm thinking for the home opener, assuming that the whiskey hanger is open and it's right by our seats, if you're coming in early, we'll kind of start there, and everyone can get together, hang out, use that beer that will be in your Jets 360 app, and get ready to welcome the Jets out for the season. Going to be a lot of fun. And as I say, if you have tickets elsewhere, even if you're in the lower bowl, feel free to come up and hang out with all of us before the game, and everything gets going for the season.
Okay, I got all the marbles in. We have 244 total in the Bright Palace Sonata. And watch the finish. It goes quick once they go into the final drop, I guess.
All right. I'm here for a brand new track. Busy marble race today. And I'm going to wish good luck to the Derminator. Great to have Chud's Power Sports on board. And it was funny, I mentioned Jerry, who we were talking earlier, who's been there along with their great team for so many years. He came, he was all fired up. He got to grab the Marbles hoodie to take back to Chud's and show off. Derminator's been going for 3 years. Maybe today could be the day, Derminator. Good luck to you and everybody else in the race. It is the Bright Palace Sonata, brand new track. It has been tested by the Maestro of Marbles, Michael Remis. Without further ado, let's drop them and see who's winning today on WST. Interesting drop, a kind of like a start-finish line, if you will. And then every rolling down. There's Bravo Bry with a very nice start. Who's there? Demo, THP, TH Power. Well, actually, I think was a recent winner, if I'm not mistaken. Bravo Bry coming out of the gate right away. Kevin K as well. There's Larry. What's up, Big Larry? Hope you're having a great day. VR Montenegro, still waiting for that the historic first Edmonton winner. T Winnipeg, everyone's getting shot up. I'm not sure whether this means they're not getting top roped. Although T Winnipeg did get top roped. T Winnipeg 204, our first casualty today. Granny Bomber fan right in the mix. Oh, Derek Schmidt, I think, just got popped, if I'm not mistaken. We move in. AJ, all caps Kyle. All caps Kyle's in the mix. Haven't seen him in contention for a little while. Nicole J. There's Wild Thang as well. Oh, okay. If you go onto the outside, you're done.
Yeah, it's a laser there.
There's a lot of people getting absolutely hosed by the laser. That's tough. Well, if you survive and you're into one of the remaining marbles, you've got a chance to win. The double heart reminds me of all my friends with the Swifties. Big night last night. New Taylor album. Chiefs win for sure with a new album this week, right? There's no way they can't lose on Taylor Swift dropping a new album weekend. That's a Monday nighter. We'll talk about that then. Oh, look at this. It's your boy Bruce and Todd Fertani. Two scoundrels I've had good times recently with. Todd last night when I was trying to convince them that it's not the Yankees or the Cowboys that are America's team, but in fact the Kansas City Chiefs. That's another conversation later. I've got a very compelling argument to make. And of course, it's your boy Bruce came and hung out with myself and Dusty after the game last week, and we went to the hockey game. All right, here's Bruce. Bruce's first one down. Could this be? And it's your boy Bruce, Lego guy, Todd Fertani, all coming down, and Bruce is it. What a win. I don't think Isha Boy has ever won the marble race. One of our most loyal listeners from day one of WST. And how about poor Todd? And he was sitting beside last night at the end of the game, my friend Todd, and of course, Amanda, 3-time winner. And she was giving it to Todd. And the fact that he came so close, but yet so far, a huge victory for Isha Boy. He's first, Todd Fertani second, Lego guy third, John the Canadian fourth, Rick Fair fifth. Bravo Bry, strong performance Bry, sixth place, No Frills Dino 7, Keep It Cruising 8th, Coach Mike 9th, and Hockey Guy Jeff, your top 10. Isha Boy, you know how to get a hold of us. Holler at me. We'll hook you up with one of those hoodies. A big moment. Very popular winner in the chat. Bruce finally got it done. He supported us from day one. He's bought a lot of merch, but this is the one that you can't buy. The one for winning the marble race. Excellent track, Remo. Very interesting one. I mean, obviously a lot of people got lasered. I'm sure I was one of those people as well. Let's see what the rest of the list looks like. There's Ryan Fox and Kevin K. Ron P. Nice one, Ron. Top 20. Pretty good. TH Power. There's Rob Pepper. Kathy Crossan. What's up, Kathy? There's Jeff Montgomery. Nicole J. Mike Wynn. Mike, we'll be seeing you at the game next weekend or next Thursday. I know that. There's Granny Bomber fan. King Kenny. Not to be confused with Ken. Weave, who's going to be at the games. There's El Presidente, Mr. V-Dub, Gary O, Matt Hyman, D. Chalice. There's Hustler. Okay, I did finish right on. And I don't see Bozeman or Roscoe. There's all caps Kyle. Did a good job. Helly's Rib finished. Okay. There's One Bird, Boba Jet. VR Montenegro had the great start. Not such a great finish. There's Roscoe. I got you again, buddy. Great to see you guys at the track this week. And Joel Kevinson, our final one through. Here is, Patty. Tough one, Pat. Pat got thrown out over the top rope. There's Drew Doughty. Oh, Drew Doughty popped in today as well. Interesting. Gene Okerlund.
Brad Marchand.
Brad Marchand had a tough one today. There's Spency 5 Sensi. Who else was in here? Key. This is a big race today. CFL OG 60. What's up? Eagle Eyes. Speaking of cool betters, great to see you, Eagle Eyes. Eagle Eyes, get in the poker tourney next time. Next date for the Cool Bet Poker Tourney with WST, Wednesday, October 22nd is the next one. But fun show, fun week. Tomorrow, or next week, it's all about the new NHL season and, of course, the Blue Jays in the Major League Baseball playoffs. Get those last 6 tickets before they're gone. WinnipegJets.com/WST. And we'll see you next Thursday. And Remo, yeah, I mean, I'm going to watch this CFL game tonight. I am going to continue prepping for NFL Sunday. And then tomorrow, CFL. It's going to be nice. Bombers on the bye. Jets finishing up tonight. Obviously, we'll be watching that as well. Just hoping, having the prayer circle that no one else gets hurt. And then for Saturday and Sunday, Jays, Yanks, NFL, and opening week next week on WST. I cannot wait. It doesn't get much better than this time of year for sports fans.
Yeah, this is fantastic. Hockey drafts going on, baseball playoffs, NFL. college, if you're to that CFL, we're counting, starting to get ready for the Grey Cup. Still don't have the halftime show. And I looked at when the halftime show was announced in previous years, usually like last week of September. I'm not sure who's going to be performing here.
Speaking of halftime shows, just before we go, I had to laugh at all the people mad online about Bad Bunny being selected as the Super Bowl halftime show. Even I am aware that Bad Bunny is one of the top performers on the planet. I believe number 2 in streams behind Queen of the Kingdom herself, Taylor Swift. But the funny thing, and I didn't mention to you, Remis, like I have not really heard, I think he sings mostly in Spanish, which is why a lot of, rank and file North Americans maybe haven't been exposed to his music. But he's a huge superstar. But the reason why I know Bad Bunny,
Happy Gilmore too. He's a caddy.
Well, apparently I heard that. I didn't make it through the movie. It was too bad. So I didn't actually know. I didn't actually know that he was the caddy. But I think it was 2 years ago, as he was really exploding, he went into WWE and he did a thing where he was on Raw and he got into something, and he devoted himself for a few months to kind of learning what was going on and did a match against Damian Priest in Puerto Rico, where he's from. If you got the network or whatever, or the Netflix, go and check it out. I can't remember what the event was called. I'm sure you can find it out. The most incredible crowd for a WWE event in Puerto Rico. And I think Priest is of Puerto Rican descent, Bad Bunny as well. And I mean, Logan Paul, for a celebrity going in, has turned into, that guy's an incredible athlete, and he does a lot of the stuff that the pro wrestlers do better than 89% of them. But I remember watching that WWE event, and I could not believe a superstar of Bad Bunny's caliber was doing the things he was in this match. So former WWE superstar Bad Bunny performing the halftime show for the Super Bowl. And I would imagine, Reem, we're about 6-7 weeks away from the Grey Cup. So I imagine they'll fill us in on who's performing in Winnipeg relatively soon.
Yeah, Bad Bunny, I don't know his music, and he's got a ton of Instagram followers, which is life's currency now. That's how you know if you're important or not. He's got 49.4 million. But I knew him he was in like every skit in SNL 50, which blew me away. Again, don't know any of his music, but I was definitely familiar with who he was from Happy Gilmore 2 and SNL. But as far as CFL, I remember Green Day. We were like, who's going to be the halftime show? They haven't announced it. It's coming so soon. And they knocked it out of the park with Green Day. So I'm not sure how they're going to do it. Here, I remember it was Fall Out Boy last time the Grey Cup was here, and it was freezing, and I couldn't actually hear any of it. I was on the field for Green Day, which was super cool. So we'll see who it is for this one. They were counting down, starting to get ready for the festival and all that stuff, Huss. So exciting time.
Yeah, so Bad Bunny's doing it, and he was amazing in WWE. There's your little bit of info if you didn't know. What a great tidbit to finish up the show today. Lots of fun. Thanks to everyone that joined us today. Thanks to all of our sponsors that make the show happen each and every day, and all of you. Grab those final couple tickets for the home opener with us. And tomorrow, 11 a.m., right after Illegal Curve, NHL Futures with myself, Jake, and Pat here on the program. We'll have another episode with myself, Remis, and Connor, focusing on the Jets before the puck drops. We'll try and do that probably for Monday. And then a WST Sunday Live, Connor and Liz. They had a fun day today down with the Moose at Moose Media Day. They'll be all over that and much, much more. And, of course, tonight, the puck drops in the final preseason game for the Winnipeg Jets. You all have a great weekend. We will see you, of course, with programming throughout the weekend, and, of course, back with a live edition of WST on Monday, 1 p.m. right here on the WST YouTube. Have a great one, everyone, and thanks for hanging out with us. Go Jays!
Oh, my God! Oh! Shut it down! Let's go home!
Thanks for tuning in to Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube and your favorite podcast feed at winnipegsportstalk.com.